following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Let's tidy up this tangle of film by putting it on a reel. Here is a motion picture film, 1,000 feet, 16,000 separate photographs.
Welcome, everyone, to the official space section of the charter.
The truth! You can't handle the truth!
Sir, you're out of order. Out of order? I show you out of order.
Hey, everybody, I'm Michael.
I'm Rob Strachan.
I'm Mark. Rob can't remember who he is.
And we're your real debaters.
I wasn't looking at him, so I didn't see the point. I didn't see the fucking cue.
I'm cueing you. Anyways, listeners, welcome to Where the Art of Cinema Meets the Power of Debate. Welcome back to another episode this week. What do we have on the show for you? We have a conversation that the three of us, which has been a while since we've had the three of us in the room, which is nice, right? I feel the balance has returned. The trifecta is back in the room,
yes.
right?
The Trinity of sorts.
Exactly. The Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. We'll figure out which one of us
I like
it is
mind,
after.
spirit, body, but, you know, everyone's got their thing.
I'll shoot for that.
A little less Catholic.
We've been saving this one for the three of us in the room because this whole episode is dedicated to artificial intelligence, the use of AI in theme, in film, in stories. We're also going to talk about AI making film and stories today.
Controversial.
Very controversial. We're going to ask some questions that may just be us playing devil's advocate here. So don't get too hot in your fucking seat if you're like, damn the AI machine, because there is practical uses for it. We've already been using it, but we'll get into that shit. But the whole episode...
To take over the human race.
Exactly. The whole episode is dedicated to artificial intelligence, so much so that the lists and the questions we're talking about today were made by ChatGPT. So let's take
Say what?
As opposed to other episodes which lack intelligence altogether.
Completely, yes. You would just
And are written by
Artificial or
BuzzFeed and
otherwise.
other...
yeah. If you feel that the other episodes are slightly less intelligent, this would be why. So that's what's on the show for you this week. We also got some lists. I found a list from space.com and also a Guardian review of the top 20 artificial intelligence films in pictures. But before we get into it, I just want to let everybody know what we're doing, shit that's going on, so on and so forth. We're going to talk about Comic-Con for a second because that did happen. I think it's the last time we were all in the same room together was
Quite possibly.
since C4.
I feel so very removed from the whole Comic-Con discussion because I was otherwise...
You were keeping
Busy.
it all together, man.
Yeah.
You ran a fucking tight ship that day.
We were running around. You
was
had
very
to be
busy.
everywhere at once.
Everywhere, everything, everywhere.
My kid had a
all
good
at
time.
once.
That's good.
She got some stickers.
It was a blast.
It was a good start for short order.
Gives you a good baseline too on where you want to improve things, what worked, what didn't work, and
Yeah.
you get to now you get to have a whole year to work on your vision of the next iteration.
I was fully prepared for it to be worse than it turned out.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, you kind of prepare yourself for something. I'm like, oh, I was pleasantly surprised.
What's
I do
the
have a good-
expression? Plan for the
Plan for the worst.
Art.
hope for the best.
Hope for the
Hope
best.
for the best, expect the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, or whatever it is. Yeah.
Well, let's start.
Yeah.
Let's start with that. Like,
Under promise, over deliver.
if
Totally.
you've listened to the episode, listener, at this point, if you haven't, go back and listen to it. But we were live from Comic-Con C4 at the Kaboto Center. C6, as we joked about it, because there's so many fucking C's in the title. The Canadian,
Central Canada Kaboto Center Comic-Con.
yeah, that one. But you took it over. You guys ran with it. You and Troy through String Bean Comics.
We tried.
And it was super good, man. Like, I mean, I know you were running around like a chicken with your head cut off, but like whatever you planned for, I think you hit it.
the pizza was good.
The food was great. The vendors were great. I bought a ton of stuff. We had a blast.
I spent a
People-
bunch of money.
Yeah, like I think
I had a good time.
I even wanted more diversity in vendors. That's, I think, definitely one thing I learned from it.
Yeah, but you know what? I think
But-
next year, if maybe you get a bigger space, that'll give you the room, and you're also going to have more runway to actually get the vendors in.
Yeah, even without
Like it was pretty. You threw that together quick.
I
dude.
know from, I mean, you can probably speak
Yeah.
to this too, is that whenever you get involved in like sort of a collective thing
Yeah.
like that, right? Whether it's kind of like the Third and Bird thing or any of
Well, I
those.
used to do a dodgeball event, and there was like three
Yeah.
of us,
Yes,
right?
right?
And one's my brother, which is really easy to collaborate with, and then one was the third guy, and so it was
Third
usually my
guy's
brother
always-
versus
yeah.
the third guy, and we're always kind of going back and forth, right?
We found when you get, we started just accepting anybody that, because we were like, I want to sell tables. Like it seemed like an insurmountable.
You want the revenue.
I wanted like 50 or more people, right? And I'm like, I'm never going to get there. I have like 6 weeks. And then we got to the end and then we had to turn people away. And I'm like, oh, damn. Like
That would have been a better fit. or that would have been
exactly,
a-
right? So
Yeah.
I really...
Too much redundancy here.
Exactly. And that's where the forethought is going to be so important in the future because you can like have people apply to have tables, and then you can say, okay, well, we have a few too many of this one particular thing. Let's slot,
Well, the other thing
then we
you
have
can
to
do-
pick and
can
choose.
program a
Say
little
you
bit
have
more.
8
Yeah, yeah.
comic guys apply, you get to choose who the best 4 to 6 are.
Exactly, right?
Right?
You don't
Yeah.
want 13 comic
It's
guys.
not first in, first out. It becomes who's the best fit and
Yep.
who do I think is going to be the best
Like a film
overall
festival.
draw.
Right?
For,
You want to program throughout the day,
100%.
have events and vendors and all that stuff.
And unfortunately, if somebody's not going to deliver a product that's in line with your vision, then, and that's what I found, is that we had some vendors that really bring something. They bring something to the show. They have great displays. They care about it. They treat it like they're going to build a mini store.
Yeah.
That's who I want there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The pop culture atmosphere. Other people treat it like it's a swap meet or and that's not, it's not a flea market. I don't want a flea market vibe.
Where's the 2-for-1 table?
So, well,
And there's already that stuff every weekend in the
Exactly.
city.
yeah, I want something that's going to be
I can go to
a bit of a
South
show.
Osborne when I want
Yeah.
to go to there.
100%. That's exactly. And I think we had some vendors that didn't treat it like it was the show that we want it to be.
But again, they only
First
had 6
year,
they only
too.
had
Yeah.
4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, like
So
Very
now
tight, yeah.
now they know the plan is every year we're doing this. So, now they got something in the fall, something in the spring. So it creates kind of a rhythm with their business too.
Yeah.
And it means they're going to be better prepared, and I think it's going to be even more of a home run next time.
Yeah, we've already looked at. We really like the venue, but there's actually we can expand within the venue. So they have other spaces that
they
we can
do.
rent at the
they
same
do.
time.
Yeah, it's a lot bigger than where you were.
So we could get the main hall, the Galleria, the main lobby, which we could have took more advantage of in the main lobby. But then there's also like a library around the corner. Then there's another small event room, and then there's like the cafe in the back that you can also rent. That
You
has
should
like
do a Clue-themed murder mystery in there.
massive. That would be cool.
or a scavenger hunt where you've got to hit X amount of vendors and find.
But we
them.
really thought like something like the library would be great for artists and writers. And if we did bring one person in to do like a signing or something, the library atmosphere is a good place for that side of it.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So we might do like a bit of a
You should bring
writers,
Robert Jordan in.
writers artists alley kind of
Posthumously.
But will
vibe.
you be like, will you sign my novel? I can't speak. Will you sign my comic book?
It's not that kind of library.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
So yeah, we have some ideas we're tossing around, and
Cool.
we might have some partnerships in the future, and who knows?
That's
be
just
interesting.
The AI in the room. Don't worry about
That's okay.
it. Yeah, no, dude. We had a lot of fun. We were like the Power Rangers thing that went down in the middle of it all was super fun.
Oh, I must have missed that.
You'd already gone. It was like a drive-by Power Rangering is really what it was.
It was silly because we didn't have much of a space, and they were sort of half their
rolled out a
troop
red
showed
table.
up.
Yeah, okay.
But we threw it together, and
Was it 5 or 6 Power Rangers?
there was two.
Two.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why it was a drive-by.
But in my
Okay.
mind, I sit there and I go, well, if I want to be critical of it, like this is kind of like low rent. But then I looked across and I saw like a 10-year-old that was super excited because to them there's two Power Rangers.
and
like-
also a 40-year-old man who is also
Exactly.
equally excited.
So I'm
Hopefully
like,
that's the
it's
child's
not,
father.
even if it's not for me, it's
Oh my God!
it's cool. So I'm like, we definitely need more of that, the cultural aspect.
What Power Rangers was it?
White and blue.
I thought it was yellow and black. Or am I colorblind?
It was definitely. I see what you did there. Nice dress reference.
Thank you very much. So listener, if you want to like stay in the know of when he's going to do more of these, which he is, because we're going to be a part of it, and it's going to we're going to the Real Debaters empire is taking over, right? The little branches, the big branches, whatever. But
C4 debater con.
yeah, exactly, right. At
Whoa,
Stringbean,
that's a good idea.
where the two worlds collide, baby. I can't say anything bad about that. Find it in the show notes at String Bean Comics. It's all over our social media and stuff. You can follow Mark, and then you'll be like, "Hey, I won't miss it next time." We have a new trivia home. We're gonna test out.
Where's
our
that?
Fionns on Grant.
Oh yes, you mentioned that.
Fionns
That's
is
right.
on Grant now?
Fionns is on Grant.
Oh,
and
that Fionns.
that
yeah,
Fionns.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
refer to
yeah.
it idiotically as
Yeah.
Fionns, but then I was like, no,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just the
Yeah, no, it's Irish.
That weird Gaelic spelling.
the
or
weird
something?
Gaelic spelling.
Not weird if you're Gaelic.
Yeah,
but,
sorry.
You know, I don't know how our listenership is in.
I don't think we're
Ireland?
big in Ireland.
It's not weird. It's not unusual. It's just the Gaelic spelling.
Yes.
It's wrong, but that's cool.
Fion.
It's kind of like spelling Sean with an H,
Yes.
A W or UN, and it should just be S.
The UN throws me off.
Because
yeah.
I feel like it's Irish in origin, and that's like a British bastardization. But we can debate that with other Sean's.
Webster's, thank you.
yeah.
May 23rd at Fionns on Grant, 7 p.m. We're doing another 4 rounds of trivia. This is a modified version. If you were at the first one we did, which was a collective of debaters, I was like, everybody must show up. We need everybody to do trivia. And I was like, we only actually need one person, but it's way more fun when 3 people do it. So if you haven't been to our trivia nights before, it's interactive, it's comical, it's impression-based. We go off the rails. Maybe we give away points we shouldn't. It's a very fun environment. If we're wrong, come and argue us. That's the whole spirit of the show. If you can prove why you should be right. We've actually given away points for that. It's like, okay, fine. We may have screwed up the question. I may have not checked my grammar. I may have spelled something wrong. These are all things that we can accommodate.
These are things that happen when I'm not consulted.
Exactly.
We will use more ChatGPT to make sure the questions are on point.
This is what happens when I don't use my spell proof. Exactly. $5.
Spell proof.
$5.
That sounds like a Harry Potter
I was just gonna say, like, is that some kind of like mod add-on for WoW?
Yeah.
Like,
I have my spell
like
proof
spell
cloak.
proof.
My spell proof cloak. $5 a ticket. Now we're going to do this differently. Last time we were selling tickets on Eventbrite, we want to kind of remove the middleman altogether. So we're going to let you sign up on Eventbrite for free. And then it's $5 at the door. So just pay at the door when you show up. We'll have your order. We'll have your team all ready to go. So we'll put the link in up on our social media once it's ready. It's happening this weekend, so it'll be out there somewhere soon. But
So you can oversell it like an airplane so that you get a full house?
yeah, and then I don't.
Or what happens if somebody signs up and no shows? Does that mean they're permanently banned forever from participating?
I'll email
Unless
them.
they have a rational explanation.
Yeah, I would like a direct text.
Like
explaining-
asteroid
yeah.
collision
A handwritten letter.
Yeah, a doctor's note.
in perfect cursive.
Yeah, I'll be on
It
the
better
watch
be in
out.
perfect cursive.
Quill and ink.
So anybody under 30, anyone under 30 is fucked.
No, so what will like? I mean, if you don't show up,
Perfect
you don't show up,
calligraphy.
obviously. We will be keeping the limit to what the room can handle. So as soon as it fills up, then we'll be like, all right. And if you don't show, you don't show, and that's that. You miss out on a really fun night. $5, 4
Cool.
rounds.
That's fair.
And what's the theme of this one, Mike?
Disney Pixar,
All right.
80s, Star Trek / Star Wars.
Oh, when is this one?
May 23rd.
Trek v. Wars.
Trek v Wars.
Can I be there?
You can be there.
That's like those are like my 3 topics.
Yeah, and then like a general movie round to warm us up again, right?
Cool.
So
Oh,
4
Those
rounds.
are good topics.
Yeah, right. 10 questions, a bonus question per round. It's an image one. We're like, what's that on the screen? What's that movie? Who's that guy? And then you have to guess, and you get a bonus.
Coolio.
question. Yeah.
Cool.
We had a question at the last one at Handsome Daughter, which was
Yeah.
a 14-point question.
14.
Why
point
14
question.
points?
I'll explain it to you. So we did Harry Potter, and I wanted to see how many Potterheads were in the crowd. So I said, if
Can you make
can,
it 7 1/4?
well, you could.
How about 8 and a half?
9 3/4.
8 and a half?
What are we talking about now?
Fellini movies, obviously.
What size? No, what we did was I said, if you can name all the Weasley children, you get 7 points. If you name one wrong, you get no points. If you can name them in order,
From
you get
oldest to youngest?
yeah,
Oh.
you get another 7 points.
So obviously there's somebody that nailed that.
There's two teams that nailed it.
Like I've never read the books, but
How
I
many
guarantee if I read the
Weasley
books, I could do
children
that.
Are there?
7.
There's 7 of them.
7. And Ron is the second youngest. Actually.
Really?
Yeah, his
That is
sister's
some-
younger than him.
That's some
it.
interesting.
So there's
information.
his sister, Ron, the twins, then
Yeah.
their older brother, and then there's more? There's one more?
There's 7. I can't
Who's-
remember.
Who's the oldest?
I don't have the answers here.
Does he have red hair?
That's
the
a thing.
elder Weasley.
Yeah.
Don't know.
So we're gonna do the same thing. Some easy ones, some softballs. Anyways, subscribe to the show. Subscribe to our social media. It's all in the show notes, so you can find it, so you don't miss it. And then if you want to leave your email address when you sign up, we will email you when our next trivia night is. We promise. we won't
Build a
spam
little
you.
Cool.
database of trivia heads.
Yeah, debater heads, mass debaters. I don't know. We'll
Nice.
figure out a name for
I like
them.
debater heads.
Debater heads. I like it. Yeah.
It's kind of like Max Headroom.
Yeah, very 80s.
That's cool. That's
The
awesome,
Vader
man.
heads.
That trivia is super fun.
It is. It is. So that's about it for us. Thank you for letting us warm up here for you, listener. With that said, Mark, what the fuck did you watch this week?
What did I watch this week? Well, I shouldn't. It's not like been a week since I've last been on here, so I probably it's like what
What
did
have you
I
been
watch?
watching for a month?
What did I watch in the last month or so? I'm gonna go with, because we were chatting about it a little bit before we flipped the mics on. Xmen '97.
Please, I haven't seen it. Rob hasn't seen it.
And you know what? I think there's lots of people that probably were into it, and they have the intention of watching it, but they haven't yet. I know the one buddy of mine that I talked to, and he was hesitant, was that you kind of started watching the old 92 stuff, and they're like, wow, it's a little hard to watch the animation from back then, and you're not sure if you want to get into the storylines, especially after watching like your Invincibles and things like that, where the level
Quality.
of animation is like, huge.
Even the
right?
frame, probably 4x3.
Exactly. So I
would
would
drive
say,
Rob nuts.
I would say
No, it
that
doesn't.
they kept the heart of the original show,
Okay.
but the animation is improved substantially.
Same quality as Marvel's What If?
No, it's still got that 92 feel, but
it's cleaner.
it's cleaner, and a little bit of an anime style to some of like the battle scenes, maybe a
Okay.
little bit,
Okay.
which is cool.
Okay.
Just the way that it flashes between scenes sometimes. It kind of anime is sometimes a series of stills when like somebody's getting smashed into the ground and it breaks. And
So it almost comic bookies.
it does have a little bit of that
Yeah.
vibe, I think, but I find it very engaging compared to the other one. Like, it does suck you in.
Well, you mentioned earlier too there was less Jubilee, which is a big thing for me.
There's less Jubilee. There's less Wolverine. This isn't a Wolverine show. This is an X-Men show.
I'm not going to watch it. I'm not interested now.
They've like Cyclops is kind of a badass again.
Okay.
They jump right in like.
Well, he's
where-
always been perceived, like in the comics, as a little bit arrogant, a little bit,
He's a Chad.
He's a Chad. He is.
Except in
But
the
it-
movies,
yeah.
they kind of like cucked him a little bit.
A little bit. Well, first off, he
Right?
was too short.
They chopped him off at the sack.
He was cucked. He was cucked in casting. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So they definitely they jump right into.
We need another stool. Bring the stool in.
I think he was almost shorter than Wolverine. Well, he was shorter than Wolverine. That doesn't fly. Anyways, he's
Wolverine's
back.
supposed to be 5'3".
Yes, Wolverine is way too big in the shows.
Yeah.
Wolverine is Wolverine in these, right?
Yeah.
The storylines
Thanks,
jump
bub.
right into where 92 kind of left
I heard
off.
that. They don't leave you
It's not to ruin anything for anybody, but they jump right into like Mr. Sinister, Jean Grey, Madeline Pryor, Scott and Jean / Madeline's baby, right? Cable.
Dude, it's been a while since I'm gonna have to refresh my memory.
So they
on some of
throw
this.
everything at
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
and then you're like, how it's all being laced together, and they jump from that whole thing, which is
I heard that they open with the ending scene from the last one. Like it's almost like a
it's a
smooth
direct continuation, yeah. And you have
Wow.
the Sentinels.
Did they bring some of the original voice cast back?
Yeah, they
Oh, they
did.
did.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
Right?
that's
They
big.
have like it's all Sentinels, Bolivar Trask. They have Genosha, right? The land. They have the Genosian massacre that they're covering. They have
Wow.
Magneto coming back. They have. It's
Good.
very strong on the relationships between characters.
Hellfire Club too.
You get not yet.
Okay.
They get your Gambit
Slow down.
Rogue. You get your Gambit Rogue. You get your old, which I didn't know. Rogue and Magneto had a thing back in the day. So there's an interesting situation there. There's
How does that work from an age perspective, though?
there's-
Inappropriate, I think, is how
yeah,
it works.
it's sort of they kind of explain it is a bit of a like a grooming situation, but Rogue's pretty tough. Then you have like your Jean Grey and Madeline Pryor with Scott Summers, the having the baby, and that relationship. Like, does Scott love Madeline or does he love
no more talking. No
Jean?
more talking. I
Right?
gotta watch it. No more spoilers.
This
And-
might sound like a soap opera to somebody
It
listening
does,
right
and
now.
Jubilee gets a love interest, and like almost every character gets a love interest. Storm now breaks off to her own show, and she develops a love interest, sort
But
of.
the X-Men comics does always have that as the
Yeah.
centerpiece of it.
very much
Always
the
going back
relationships.
and forth.
Yeah.
100%.
So it's very. I found it very gripping. Like, I find myself like
Gotta
waiting for
watch
that
the
next.
next-
The
yeah.
next one's coming
And
out.
it's
Like,
doing
it's gonna be
weekly
good. It's gonna be good. Yeah,
It's doing weekly release, right?
yeah. I kind of am sad.
Oh, it's
that-
weekly release.
Yeah, right now it is. You're actually there's 6 or 7 episodes.
I'll
already,
wait.
so-
I'll wait another month.
Yeah, I think there's 9 or 10, and it's gonna
Yeah.
be done.
Yeah.
And
The only show that I will watch as it releases is The Boys.
oh, that's coming
Yeah.
That's
soon,
coming.
right? That's coming
Oh,
soon. Yeah.
yeah.
But anyways, 97 is great. I think it's tipping over into the MCU stuff that's going to be
'Kay,
coming out.
cool.
I think it's going to kind of
Oh, so
tie
it's
in.
canon.
Yeah, the characters are very much like the comic characters, like Like Mr. Sinister looks exactly like he does from the comics, and
Wow.
a lot of the characters have like that. Like Gambit is very like comic accurate, and it's pretty cool. And they come up with some really neat
that New
interactions.
But that's the way Gambit needs to be. He's so witty in the comic, and he's so witty in the old X-Men cartoon.
Yeah, it's
So
very
charming.
much so. There's been a lot of Gambit, which is pretty cool.
It's that Cajun charm, baby.
That New Orleans
New
flavor.
Orleans.
And then they had it.
Mon
There's a
chéri.
new. So yeah, go watch it.
So dirty.
There was something that was coming out first. I think it was in the preview, so I'm not really ruining anything. But you know what, like the fastball special was from back in the day when Colossus throws Wolverine with his claws, and they call it because he's like hurdles
I did that.
Wolverine.
I did that in
remember
Marvel
that.
versus Capcom in the video game.
So yes, it's called the fastball special that was labeled. I can't remember what comic book. It's kind of like a combination move, right?
Yeah.
The power getting thrown and then
I
his
heard
spinning
about
claws.
this.
So they have one now that's Gambit's like basically riding on Wolverine's back, and Gambit powers the adamantium with his kinetic energy.
Yeah.
So Wolverine's claws are glowing like pink when he's
Cool.
jumping. So he's basically got the power of Gambit and Wolverine together. It's kind of
Nice.
cool.
Okay, there's a video game I have, Marvel Empire Marvel something, where you're a 4-man team or a 4-person team, and when you get your special,
Sounds like Gauntlet.
When you get your, I think it might be. When you get your special lit up, you get to tag team with another member. So like Human Torch can blast his
And
heat.
it's 3 down, top down.
Yeah.
right?
Is that it?
Yeah, it's
Gauntlet?
basically an X-Men version of Gauntlet.
Okay.
But for like PS2.
This is for Xbox 360. It's the only game I still enjoy playing because of this feature.
That sounds kind of cool.
So
Yeah.
it sounds like they're taking video game power moves and
Yeah,
incorporating
like-
them, like bringing universes together, I guess.
They're telling some old stories, but they're sort of playing with like their powers and like new things that their powers can do. And there's some really cool Cyclops stuff, and yeah, it's kind of neat.
Is Havoc in it?
Not yet.
So how many Saturday mornings out of 10 do you give it so far? Because that was a Saturday morning cartoon, right?
Honestly, it is because I'm a bit of an X-Men fan
yeah,
too.
you lean to that.
It's like doing an awesome job. Like it's a 9.5.
Wow.
Like it's really good.
Wow.
Okay. Looks
And
like
I mean,
looks
you
like
need
I'm
good
watching.
story to keep animation going. Without
Yeah.
the story, you
It's
can only look for
really
so
good,
long.
and I think it's going to bring people in that maybe even didn't watch the original, and they're just going to start right now, and they're going to keep going.
Cool.
I can't see it not getting additional seasons.
Can we, while we're on the subject, take a little bit more time with Marvel and review the best trailer to have dropped in the last
Which
week?
trailer?
The Deadpool 3 trailer.
I have not seen it.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Can I be honest with you? I kind of don't want to see it.
You don't want it to be ruined for you? Are
I
you worried?
want to go into that movie and not know anything about it,
I feel there's so much.
other than just like the little teaser that I've
You are
seen.
in for a treat.
There is so much that's going to happen that I don't know that they can ruin anything for you, because I think so many things are going to be happening. You almost need to like.
It's not that I want anything ruined. I just want to be like so surprised when I go in the movie because nothing has been. I haven't.
You have
all
no-
I've
you have
all I've
nothing.
seen
You
is
have
just
nothing.
a picture of the costume.
I respect that. I respect that.
I
If you-
respect it, but you also, I think it's going to be very complex, and you're really going to have to. You're going to be fine because you think pretty quickly.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
But some people are going to be lost if they don't get like a prerequisite. Okay,
like these are the kind of people that have to watch Interstellar 12 times to understand it.
like here's the
those
scenario.
people.
So Tenet, they'd have to watch 46 times.
Oh,
They're still
God,
watching it.
Never. I think Tenet gets more
on the loop.
confusing the more you watch it.
I still haven't come out of my tenant hole. Yeah, no, he's right. And like I just saw,
Yeah.
I saw an article today that says it doesn't require Marvel homework. Like it will be from Logan, right? Like
Is T.J. Miller in it?
Haven't
you
seen him.
really
yet.
want him back, don't you?
Fucking
He
lo-
was great as
I
like,
love
he
T.J.
was
Miller.
great as a side piece. I really did
He's
like him.
fucking
as the borrower.
hilarious.
I know.
The one thing that's going to be for sure, and people have
They
I
need to
think
let him back.
the one primer you have to give everybody is to understand the concept of different realities.
Yes,
Right?
You do.
Because it sounds like whatever the thing is, they're going to be bouncing between multiple different
Cool.
realities
I'm good.
of all of the Fox universe, the Sony universe, and the MCU.
Yes.
So you're going to get potentially
Yes.
multiple versions of characters.
Cool.
So just because you see somebody doesn't mean you actually know who
is
it
Patrick
is.
Stewart going to be in it?
Because I don't know. I think
hope
I
so.
feel
You want
like
me to
there's
tell
going to
you?
be
You want
maybe
me
more cameos than you've ever seen in a movie before.
I honestly, and
Like it's going to be insane.
It's a $4 billion
Like
cameo.
more than Doctor Strange.
Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
The list of people that are like just thought to be cameoed in it. If half of those people show
And
up,
the funny thing is, you know that Ryan. There's probably some guys who are like, I'm never fucking doing that again. And Ryan Reynolds is like, come on, and
For
everyone's
me,
like,
you will.
okay,
For me, you
okay.
will.
it's the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Where he's cleaning up the timeline
Mm-hmm.
as a full-length movie. It seems like.
Oh, I like it.
So we're going to be bouncing between all of the different things, and who knows what kind of
Well,
adventures.
we've talked
they're
so
gonna get
much, we don't
into.
have time to watch the trailer and discuss it. We need to move on.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
I don't want to watch it.
It's
Is
fine.
that okay?
No,
It's coming
yeah.
July.
I'm not gonna make. No, you fucking look at the screen, bitch.
July 27th, I think.
26th.
26th.
Okay, perfect.
There are things like this is how much he's taken care of things, and this won't
Surprised they're
ruin it
doing
for
that late of a summer release
Yeah.
for such a big movie.
you. It is pretty ballsy.
It's pretty late.
Yeah, it's a month after everyone gets out of school, so who knows? But Rob Liefeld, right? Comic book-
Liefeld, yeah.
Liefeld, sorry. They have even trolled him because in the trailer,
Well, of course they need to troll him because he draws hands and feet too small.
well, he's always he knows this.
But I
So-
do love X-Force.
Okay.
Fuck.
Well,
Are you gonna? You have to just. That's one thing that's in the trailer that's just
I gotta
funny
tell
that
you
people
this.
are talking about.
so in the trailer, as they do the hero walk, behind him says Lifefield's Orthopedic Supplies, feet always or something.
No, it's called Liefield's Just Feet.
Yes, that's it. Lifefield's just feet.
Oh my god, this shit's so good.
The line, like everything. You want to?
So there's gonna be so many Easter eggs. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
gonna be the obvious,
Because that's a joke that you only get if you
yeah.
actually read comics.
and
that you
I
understand,
guarantee
right?
you
Yeah.
there's gonna be the movie that is gonna be so much shit going on. But
Yeah.
then you're gonna
Like,
watch.
there's gonna be the movie that my wife will think is funny and
Yes.
awesome, but then there's like more levels where I'm gonna like it,
And there's
then
stuff-
more and even more levels of guys that know even
Yeah.
deeper shit
It's
than I
too
know.
and you're gonna have to go and watch the new rock stars or something afterwards
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get all of the little
Yeah,
things
yeah.
that you missed.
It'll be an event.
Oh,
It'll-
100%.
It'll be a Barbenheimer thing, right? Like I think we're
Barbenheimer.
up and Barbie, whatever.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
if they've showed that much in the
forgot
trailer
that
about
they
little
call it that.
cameos of people,
Right.
I don't even know what
Well,
they're gonna do.
Okay, let's ask this question.
How long is the movie? 2.5?
It's probably gonna. Yeah,
I don't
it's-
know that
they
they
don't
put
have
the
the
time
runtime
out
out
yet.
yet.
No.
No, they don't. Here's a question for you. Sean Levy, Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, Taylor Swift were seen at a football game
Blake Lively.
last year. Blake Lively too. We're all seen at the football game, hanging out after. They got busted. TMZ got them, and they were like, "Could she be in Deadpool?" This last 2 weeks, Taylor Swift's new album has come out. In one of the songs, she leaves the song. The last line is dazzling. There is rumor
Oh, she's Dazzler.
she's Dazzler. Now, my question is...
It's actually in
with
the
what you-
chorus.
It's
is,
sorry, is it
she
in the
says
chorus too?
dazzling
Okay.
like 4 times in the song.
Okay, my question to you both
You know what? I actually kind of see it.
is it too much with what you've just said? You've said it's going to be...
She's probably going to be terrible though.
This is going to be Easter in July. There's going to be so many Easter eggs in this movie. There's going to be so many callbacks. There's going to be so many throwbacks. Is that too much on top
It's
of what
not.
they have to do?
No.
It's not.
No.
If you do it,
That movie's going to make an extra $200 million just because of that.
I agree with you.
if you do it as not a big deal, I think is the key. You don't have like Dazzler being a big deal. Like Dazzler's going to be like singing on stage in the background of a 3-minute clip or something.
I think you pay it justice.
And
but
I think you take
yeah.
the biggest pop star in the world and you basically give her a background role, and that's actually bigger
I
than
like how Dazzler
doing
is
it big.
basically Gem in the Holograms.
100%.
I agree with you. It can't be too in your face. It can't like I don't even want dialogue with her. I just want her
Yeah.
to do it and
There'll probably be very minimal dialogue. What do you guess?
I think
But
there's
who
going to
knows?
be lots of those that they're not even going to draw attention to it, and when you realize what you just saw, you're like, oh,
Fuck, it's going to be so hard for me not to watch this trailer now.
So
Okay,
I
let's
think
move
the
on.
dazzling thing is they've either completely fucking with us,
Yeah.
which I can see her doing
bait and
also.
switch. Big bait and switch.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's dog pool,
just
right? You're gonna get all the Lady Deadpool, dog pool, kid pool,
Nice.
Do you want to keep
head
talking?
pool.
Keep talking, and I'll make you breathe out your fucking forehead. You'll get that later. Rob,
Okay.
you have the floor.
What did I watch?
What'd you watch?
So I've been on a Yellowstone kick.
Yes, you have.
So I,
Yes, you.
So I
clean it?
I
You
watched
done?
the 5 seasons of Yellowstone, and I'm waiting for the second half of season 5 to come. But it doesn't come out till November.
You're like the
So-
rest of us.
And then I watched 1883, and I actually liked it better than Yellowstone.
It's pretty good.
It's fucking so good. And now I'm halfway through 1923.
Okay.
And Harrison Ford's great.
So Have you seen?
What's your
any-
favorite part of 1923? I actually like the fucking Africa fucking time like storyline.
Dude, I can't get enough of it.
Like,
It's
dude,
go-
I don't know what it is about that show. Michelle and I
haven't
were
watched a
joking.
single
She's like, we're so into westerns now, and I was like, babe, I got a ton of western movies upstairs because I like westerns,
Okay,
right?
so I love westerns
Yeah.
too. One of the
I'm gonna-
oldest.
like we're gonna
genres.
watch Unforgiven and True Grit and 310 to Huma.
Tombstone.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, so
We're even gonna watch Wyatt Earp because it it ties in with Yellowstone because it's got Mr. Kevin Costner.
it's so easy to see
You know?
John Dutton and Wyatt.
Isn't it just Sons of Anarchy in the Wild West?
Well, it's actually
It's more like Game of Thrones.
yeah
Okay.
with cowboys.
yeah.
How about Banshee? No, you never saw Banshee.
I never watched
No,
Banshee.
I know what Banshee is. Though.
Was that on HBO?
It's
maybe
wasn't it like a western?
effects or
He's a
something?
sheriff of some sort.
He's a sheriff in a town, not
Yeah.
western though.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the bad guys are the Amish mafia.
Oh, yeah.
That's true, actually.
I really yeah. Deadwood's really good too.
And he's actually why am I gonna he is the guy who plays fucking Homelander.
Oh, that's
Oh.
Anthony. Whatever this dick
Why am I
is.
Yeah.
blanked on his name?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
he's
Aussie.
the main character.
He's
in that.
Aussie. Either way, Yellowstone's great. If you haven't watched it, and I was a little bit late to the party on it,
So was I.
and I can't
I
say
still haven't shown up.
more great things
it's
about it. Everyone needs to fucking watch that show.
It's
It's so good.
the landscapes, the big shots.
It just makes me. It makes me
you
appreciate eating beef. I want to ride
Mountains.
horses.
Wanna-
Like I want to sell my house in the city and move to the country. Like it's. I'm like.
ranch.
and then everybody in
Like
Montana
Michelle's
hates
like
you.
Michelle's like you should get a fucking cowboy hat. And you're like I should.
Oh no, it's
It's
okay.
that good.
It is.
It's I don't know what it
Changing
is.
your life.
Yeah, like I watched a video on YouTube and it's like after watching season 1 of Yellowstone,
the video.
and after season 2, and then like the progression of how the person dresses more and more cowboy.
He's in fucking chaps and
Yeah.
like flannel, ready to lasso somebody.
I love Rip in Yellowstone too because I always think about him. What's his name? Cole Hauser or whatever
Yeah.
his name is. I always
Days of Confused.
Days of Confused, man. He's
You're
like
fucking dead.
driving the fucking pickup truck and
You're fucking dead. Okay, so yeah, if you liked Sons of Anarchy, Mark,
and you like Game of
love-
Thrones,
you'd
you
love.
will like
I've heard
Yellowstone.
people have said that.
And Taylor Sheridan, I don't know what that guy can do. He just fucking makes magic.
He is such a good writer.
All
Such
right.
a good writer.
Yeah.
1883.
What movie did he do?
With what's her, with the
Like when Mexico's Serpico or no,
No.
you know what I'm talking about.
yeah. Go on. I'll tell you. I'll say it in a second.
Sicario.
Sicario. Yeah,
He wrote the first Sicario.
Yeah.
He also wrote the one with Chris Pine and Jeff Daniels, the bank robber one.
Oh
in
yeah,
Texas.
yeah.
He wrote that one. He wrote one with Elizabeth Olsen, and Jeremy Renner about indigenous oil drilling in the Yukon.
Yeah.
He writes some
On Deadly Ground?
No, but no,
No, that's
Steven
a
Seagal.
different one.
Go save the oil rig. But 1883, I think, is the best. And I think if you haven't started, you should start with 1883, then do 1923, then do Yellowstone.
Oh, really?
I think that would be fun.
No, do Yellowstone.
No?
Start with Yellowstone.
Do Yellowstone first?
Start with Yellowstone.
I
It's
mean,
good.
you'd get more reference for the other two for sure, but 1883 is straight up
the
Oregon
reason
Trail.
the
It's
reason
all
the
Oregon
reason
Trail.
why watching them afterwards is that you know what the future is.
That's true.
And then they
That's a good point.
allude to things like in 7 generations the land will come back. And that's all I'm gonna say. So there's some things that are said in these other series, and you're like, oh, that's why it's fucking like this in the current.
It anchors you in certain points.
I'm with
That's a good
that.
point.
That I'd rather like a character and then get an origin story. I don't want it to start at the beginning.
Okay, then-
I want to care about them fully developed and then get a bit of an origin.
I would
story.
be it's
Yeah.
a disservice because the whole story of how
Who's the star of
John-
1883 and the country singer?
It's, Tim McGraw. and
Tim McGraw,
Faith,
he
Hill.
and Faith Hill. Tim McGraw is so
Unbelievable.
fucking good. How the fuck did that guy not win an Emmy?
He's been good in a bunch of movies.
How is
that
he
he's
not
in.
acting more?
He's, you know what? I mean, yeah, he was the dad in Tomorrowland.
Like he was in Friday Night Lights too, right?
Yeah.
He was in The Blind Side.
Oh, he wasn't the blind.
That's right. He played
Right.
yeah,
Dad in
yeah,
Blind Side.
Yeah.
He needs when you see him in 1883 protecting his
He was
family on the Oregon
born
Trail.
to play that fucking role.
Sam Elliott in 1883, amazing. Faith
Sam
Hill,
Elliott just screams Western.
Cowboy. Oh yeah,
100%.
Dude, I mean, dude.
Touche, very touche. But yeah, the 19
That was unintentional, by the way,
It
but
was
so awesome.
so properly timed. The Ghost in the Darkness shit in 1923. gets me all day long. I'm sick of the love fest that's happening between the two of them. I know one.
But I know what you're saying with the Ghost in the Dark. Yeah, with the Val Kilmer movie. Totally.
So one of John Dutton's
That's the lions.
yeah,
and,
but that's the story arc of one of the
one of the ancestors. One of the Duttons is in Dutton's the family. Is in Africa basically, and he's like a professional hunter that goes around and like kills crazy animals in the British Empire.
Craven? No, sorry.
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah, except
Kind
it's
of.
bolt action, single shot. But yeah, everybody lifts their parts really fucking well in that series, and it's like an adventure. It's Adventureland. You're going
I've heard
to
it's
another
very,
world.
very good. I will definitely.
How many? I don't know. How many? Give me a Dutton.
How many heifers out of 10?
Yeah, there you go.
Honestly, with the Yellowstone series, it's a solid 8 out of 10. Like everything I've watched, it's
love
good.
it.
It's good.
I love it.
It's good. What'd you watch, Michael?
3 Body Problem.
Oh, I watched that too.
I've started it. I'm not too deep in it. I absolutely love it. It's D&D from Game of Thrones. It's the 2 guys who did Game of Thrones. This is their first project since, because the world hated them for 2 mistakes of a season.
And they were supposed to do Star Wars, and
They
then
were
they backed out.
I think
Because they're cocksuckers.
I think they got screwed because of the backlash from the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. I think that really followed them for a couple of years, and that may have been like, we don't want to give these guys a Star Wars property. Anyways,
The title doesn't give anything away. What is
3 Body
it?
Problem?
Yeah.
I haven't got enough to tell you. He could probably
I'll
tell
explain
you
it to you. Okay, so
Do it.
So there's a premise of what a 3-body problem, and when they say 3-body problem, what they mean is they mean a star system that's not a single star system or a dual star system, but is a tri-star system, and the planets that are within there, the predictability of the climate and the weather and what occurs within that planet is so variable that the likelihood that life and intelligent life exceeding to a certain
Preach it.
level of civilization is very incredibly variable, and it's an underlying problem within the story arc, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
It's intergalactic.
So
It's-
body being a celestial body.
Yes,
Correct.
not a
It
human
means,
body.
It means a star.
And you've
Because
got
you know how you can have a dual star system?
yeah.
And there's theories that
Star
ours,
within a
ours
star
is actually
within
a dual star system.
It's nuts. It's really well done. It
Look into it.
it looks.
In Nibiru.
Have you finished it?
Yeah.
Okay. Will it get a second season? Because I've heard rumblings that it might.
I think
Because it's a Chinese graphic novel adapted.
it is, and I know there's been a lot of grief from that
That community.
that it was like whitewashed to a certain degree, I guess, or
Okay.
something like that. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's got the potential for a sequel, but I also think it's kind of cool if they just left it here too.
Okay, because I feel that there's just too much content, so I'm down with things like Shogun, where it's like one.
If there's
and
a ton
done,
of
right?
if there's a ton of content and they can draw from something and keep the series going, then for sure. But I don't know enough about the origin material.
Neither do I. I'm 3 episodes in, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching satellites, talk to other realms. I'm watching the stars blink at people. Like there's these very cool moments where science is questioned. So that's where I'm falling in love with this series, because everything that we know about science is being questioned about the universe and about
It all
who's
comes-
out
it all
there.
comes together,
It all
though.
okay, because I feel there's a lot of moving.
I'm down for that.
Like right now where you're at, you're kind of like, what's all this weird mystical shit?
Yeah, I am.
But then it gets explained.
and the headset's really fucking with me too. Like why that's a thing. Like
Well, that's because you're really into Oculus.
well, no, but I'm just trying to figure out why this other world through this headset.
You'll see.
It all ties together.
That's solving the 3-body problem.
It's the only thing I've been watching this week, because
That's what they're doing when they go in there.
I'm trying to put my phone in another room and focus in, and
that's good,
so I'm
yeah.
like one show.
It might almost be an interview of sorts that they're going through when
Oh.
they go into that.
Okay,
I'll just leave it at that.
so and I mean like
I
all
just fucked with your head more.
the only other shit I've been watching is the reality series of like Survivor and Amazing Race, which I talk about all the time, and there's no need to rehash. Go watch the highlights here.
I like Amazing Race. I haven't watched it in years, but I always
They're
liked
really
it.
weak on their challenges. That's all I'm going to say this season. There's stuff where you're like, that's not that trying. That doesn't question. That doesn't make me question.
That's because people are getting softer.
I think that might.
They can't do the hard
That's
shit.
also happening on Survivor 2, where people are like, I just want to go home. I miss my buddy. And I'm like, you're playing the hardest game in reality television.
Yeah.
You're playing the hardest game.
Shut
show.
up and eat some rice,
Yeah,
bitch.
it's 26 days, bitch.
My only other mention of something that I started watching that I'm only partway in that I think you guys would enjoy too is the Antisocial Problem. The Antisocial Network.
Okay, I've heard about this. I don't know.
What streaming
So
service?
it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's going to be the emergence of Anonymous and the development of 4chan.
Oh, okay.
And how that
Message
how
boards and memes.
4chan became what it is, and how Anonymous branched off from 4chan, and then it diverged with two different groups, and some of them are just like the internet trolls versus the actual kind of vigilante side of Anonymous, and that's only where I'm at now. But I never knew that it was so tightly tied to 4chan, and 4chan was just like an
I didn't know
Americanized
either.
version
Yeah.
of 2channel,
An Americanized
which was
version?
a Chinese original, started in China,
Okay.
and the whole meme culture, and it's kind of cool to see how that all developed, and
Snowballs and shit.
and yeah, how it's tied into like Occupy Wall Street, and how it was tied into a
Really?
lot of the stuff.
Remember
I
how
thought
that
it was
was?
just a
Remember how that
frog.
was a legit thing, and the fucking rich media and
Yeah.
the rich and the media fucking kibosh that shit. That was
Nobody
the,
paid any
that was
attention
the true
until
that was the true uprising of the 99 versus the 1%, and the rich were about to
Yeah.
get eaten, and then they fucking pivoted
and it
that.
was kind of interesting in that
they made
wasn't
everybody
getting
care about
much-
gender politics. That's
it
what
wasn't getting
happened.
much attention until Anonymous jumped on it, and that's in the documentary, and then how it kind of came to be, and then how I'm sure it's gonna like continue along, and
Interesting.
they're interviewing with all like the original members that founded Anonymous.
Cool.
and It's pretty
Did
cool.
they talk about 3chan?
There's only 2channel right to 4chan,
What is this, 1982?
and then there's 8chan. But
Only had 3 channels? Rural Selkirk channel?
Yes.
Anyways, that's a perfect segue into what we're talking about, because
it is. It's very
it's very on brand,
yeah.
as they would say. So there
About
you-
computer nerds?
Yeah, well,
And
just
what do computer nerds do best?
hack.
Build AI.
So watch all the things we told you to watch, listener. Thank you very much for appeasing us with our reviews this week. Let's open the floor, gentlemen, and start talking about this. So
I
as
wish
mentioned,
Silicon Valley was still continuing right now. A, because I want TJ Miller, and B, because I would love all the jokes they would make about AI.
it would be way more
Such
relevant
a good
now.
show. Silicon
I think-
Valley was.
I
so
started.
good.
I watched the first 2 seasons again. It wouldn't be allowed to be made today because everyone's.
Yeah, but it's so good.
But dude, it's one of the few comedies that I watch by myself and I laugh out loud. It's like that and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
That episode where they actually did the math behind
Jerking off
jerking
2 dicks at one at a time. Yeah, brilliant.
fucking so good.
Brilliant.
I also love when they make fun of Samsung's Family Hub smart fridge. And then and
yes.
Jay Young orders that fucking thing, and then he like goes in and hacks it and puts his mime in it.
That's
and
right.
Stuff.
Yeah,
Fuck, it's so funny, dude.
And like,
such a smart show.
we can talk about it for hours.
Mike
So,
Judge is a fucking genius. Anyway,
let's
go to AI.
Let's do it.
Floor is open.
AI. I mean,
It's very
what a fucking-
topical.
What a fucking time to live in, right? Like seriously, what a fucking time to live in. With how in the last 20 years since the cell phone basically has become what it's become, the smartphone. I don't think we've seen in the last 20 years something move as fast as artificial intelligence. Like ChatGPT is maybe what, a year and a half old, 2 years old.
It's 2.5.
2.5 years old, and now how much AI is in my Adobe, AI is
Yeah,
in fucking Instagram,
But
AI
here-
is a search bar.
But
in
they've been
every
doing the
crazy-
AI thing for a long time, and the thing is that I don't want you to confuse general artificial intelligence with actual artificial intelligence.
Yes, and
it's
that's a good
just
place to start.
it's just a very very
Good.
complicated algorithm that they've been able to feed a lot of data into. They have enough computational power behind it to actually start to do a lot of things that give the appearance of being a sentient thing.
Yeah.
But it's still fucking dumb. It's just really good at doing certain tasks that humans will take a lot longer to do. And this is the biggest thing to happen to the world since the original Industrial Revolution, where we developed steam power and those kind of things that to replace physical labor and horses to basically do all these things. And now we're not replacing, physical labor, we're replacing mental labor with something. Even more than the computer, even more than the cell phone, even more than the internet. This is a giant leap forward.
You and I have listened to the same podcasts about this.
Well, I mean, this is something that I've thought about for years.
like
though,
intellectual
too.
hours as opposed to
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, no offense. Like, there is multiple careers that are fucking gone in 5 years.
100%.
Like,
Oh,
I'm
for
sorry.
sure.
I'm sorry. If you're a legal assistant for a lawyer, you're gone.
Well,
lawyers, half of them are gone.
Let's put a pin in that.
If
for
you're
a
an
second.
ant,
Well,
yeah.
we'll get to that. 'Cause
It's
that's
crazy.
That's
It's crazy.
The shit we've seen already that's come out. But
Just wait.
I wanted.
But it's also going to create a ton of new jobs and increase
Yes.
productivity and do all this other cool shit.
It does. It's a double-edged sword for sure. We've had years of cinema trying to get the future right.
Yeah.
And show us artificial intelligence. So
Philip K. Dick's pretty spot on.
I have to agree. I guess the first question is, Rob, is when we look at what's your go-to artificial intelligence movie when you think of it? Is it so on the nose that you're going to say Terminator, or is there one that like better represents the genre?
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. Okay.
Ex Machina. Sorry, I just butchered that.
Yeah, like iRobot.
iRobot. Yeah.
Right?
Honestly,
something becoming sentient.
The Matrix on some level.
Well, the Matrix is artificial intelligence, essentially figuring out that we're better used as batteries than we are at anything else.
No, that's not how the story goes. Is that the humans, because the
Don't
machines,
ruin it for Mark. He hasn't seen it yet.
because the machines run on solar power.
No spoilers.
The humans scorched the sky, and then that's why they went to them as a power source.
Which I think in any version,
And they combine that with a form of fusion to produce power.
Well, and okay, so I guess the theme.
Sit down, Copper Top.
Well, why is Ex Machina interesting? Which I think the reason it is interesting.
I think it's that the one that's so fascinating about that is that she learns how to basically make men fall in love with her to manipulate them. Like, it's fucking insane.
It's and this is what I wanted to tie this into, was what in the movie is the theme, and I think AI is a reflection of our human nature, or our humanity.
Totally.
Is what Ex Machina does so well. Like you are given a toy, right? What's his face? Domhnall Gleeson comes in and he has no idea what he's going to expect, and like that surprise alone to see somebody that lifelike.
I prefer calling him Weasley.
Sorry, Weasley. For you, we'll call him whatever you want. But like,
what order in the Weasley family is it? Anyway.
He's the cousin. He's a Gleason. But yeah, watching it for the first time as your viewer is like being him, which I think is really neat. And I know, like, with.
But also, here's the thing about that movie too, though. It also shows the difference between AI and humans, because there is no empathy at the end. She literally leaves him there to die. It doesn't care. So the portrayal of that is that AI is a fucking sociopath.
Well, and I mean,
and that's just one interpretation.
Is that because it's programmed by a human, or is that because it learned that?
That's just how it came?
I think emotion is so complex that
Can
it's
you
lacking.
you learn it.
Yeah.
Can you learn the mammalian brain? I don't know. Can you? Is it just a lizard brain and then a frontal cortex?
Okay. Well, you go ahead.
I just don't think that we as humans can explain it well enough to be able to program something else to understand it.
I think there's too much nuance.
Yeah,
with
we're
it.
already broken enough already, right?
Well, there's too much nuance. And if you look at it from an evolutionary standpoint, you got the lizard brain, right? And that's like survivalism and reactionary. And I feel like AI can learn that. That just makes sense. That's dealing with how the world is coming at you.
It's an and if, right?
Totally. Da 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 da.
And then.
But and the cortex and then the complex the complex cortex, frontal cortex thing. So advanced mathematics, understanding philosophy, thinking outside the realm, those kind of things, conceptualization of that type of thing. I think AI can do that. But then from the emotional stuff, the mammalian brain, the feeling, the touchy-feely, the empathy, I think that is probably the biggest hurdle for AI.
Well, it's also the morality and the ethics of it,
It's
too.
a pretty big hurdle for humans, all right?
Like,
well, let's talk about the ethics and morality. Let's look at Google's AI, where they programmed it to be so inclusive, aka woke or whatever you want to perceive it, that people would, when they released it, people asked them questions and said, please show me pictures of World War II German Nazis. And it wouldn't show, it wasn't allowed to, it had to be inclusive. So it couldn't just show white people Nazis. It showed like an Asian Nazi and a black person Nazi. Like, that is fucked up.
that's somebody tweaking the recipe.
But
Like,
that shows
shows
the underlying biases that can be programmed into this.
via a human. But the aspect of Ex Machina with ethics, though, is that it shows you can't program ethics.
Totally.
You can't. I mean, you
Well, I
can't.
guess you could to a certain degree.
Well, yeah, but
Well,
it's
you
gonna
can
be,
if you
it's
have-
going to be so binary.
You have enough rules, but it still boils down to rules that
well, are you going to be lawful good? Because if you're lawful good, fucking ethics is binary.
we're not talking about deity.
But everybody wants to be a little chaotic good. Like, let's be honest.
Okay, let's move on.
But that's a good way to put it, though. No,
It is. No,
Yeah.
100%. And I don't know that it boils down to that while the machine learning is part of it, I think it's still, it hasn't gone beyond, if we don't have the ability to explain it, ourselves
Yeah.
that I don't think a computer is going to be able to learn it until we can actually put it into words what it is.
Well, you say an you mentioned iRobot. That robot is a baby's brain essentially. He's trying to figure out his identity, and I mean, he is told that the 3 robot laws or whatever it was that were in the movie, but he's eventually awakening.
Yeah.
Right? Where that's the natural learning progression where you're saying I'm a flawed human. I'm going to program this. I'm going to somehow
But I also feel like maybe AI is lacking the machinery or equipment that humans have to feel, and there's something about that.
No, the Terminator feels.
I also think that
Sure.
that from some of the things I've seen
From
in
a tactile and a heat and cold perspective.
From a sensory perspective.
Yeah.
I
But
think
can he orgasm?
Maybe in his own way.
I think we're looking at AI needs to develop and learn, but I also seen examples of where AI is actually it's developing too quickly.
Yeah.
So it kind of
areas,
gets ahead of itself.
Yeah.
And I think because it's so smart and can do things so quickly that it's actually evolving too quickly for its own good. And because evolution comes from feedback over time, not immediate feedback. Like you've heard of these the horror AI images that are just trying to get views, and they take an amalgamation of all the most popular things that get views in the world, and you end up with fucking shrimp Jesus. Right? Because it's those are the things, and it turns everybody
That'd be a
loves
really cool cartoon.
Right, but everybody loves Jesus, and now there's all of these other things that they're well, we have the image of Jesus, but people like beef, so we have beef Jesus, and this weird, and it thinks
that's kind of like Hindu Jesus.
it wants interaction from people, but it doesn't understand the proper type of interaction and engagement. It just understands screen time and views.
And I think that will get better as we put more info and more data into it.
Yeah.
But again, it's limited with computational power, how it builds these things, and also the inherent biases that the programmer puts into it sometimes.
Well, and let's look at, if you take Ex Machina in that regard, Oscar Isaac's character, broken human being, right? Run ragged. He's been coding and living with this AI that he's trying to build.
Trying to bang?
Sure. That's what, thank you, Freudian slip. But he's lost the forest for the trees, right?
Yeah.
So
He's also isolated. He's in this,
he's in this
basically a fucking bunker.
Yeah. So he's
that you can only fly into or fucking walk 50 miles through the fucking wilderness.
So in that environment, you already are creating something that's going to be maybe sociopathic because your version, you're not even conscious.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Right? Your conscious brain is maybe taking over in some of this.
I mean, Ex Machina also is, I think, showcasing the worst place that artificial intelligence can go. But I think that that's an important message to have, because if we're only looking at the fucking smiles and the rainbows and unicorns around something, without looking at the possibility of where the bad shit can go, we end up with social media again, where it's oh, look how great social media is. And now, 15 years later, we're like, what the fuck?
Okay, number 2 on the list here is obviously where we need to go before we need to cover this.
Are we going to go through the list now?
Well, we're going to go through the themes that I had ChatGPT.
I for sure know some that are nowhere near the list that definitely.
Well, no. This is the list that I had ChatGPT.
There's some missing from the list that ChatGPT did.
But okay, let's look at AI rebellion and uprising in cinema. Is it defaulted to the Terminator? Is that the best best representation of AI coming back at us?
No, I think that's probably the most famous, but I actually think The Matrix is a better play on it.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna yes, obviously that's the obvious. It's literally coming back.
Everybody
and
makes
us.
fun of Skynet, right?
Literally,
it's the one that's in the
100%.
I just finished watching a show called Murder at the End of the World.
Yeah, you told me about this,
right? And not to ruin it for anybody, but it's been out for a long time. It's basically artificial intelligence that he's developed to help him in life, right? It monitors your heart rate and your skin temperature, so it knows what you need, and it's like a virtual assistant. But
that's very Black Mirror.
It grows to the part where it sees what the desired outcome is, and it doesn't care how it gets to the desired outcome. And the desired outcome is sometimes in order for Michael to be happy, Rob must die.
There's fodder.
Right?
There's
because
fodder.
And there's no emotion to that.
There's no emotion to it. It's just,
there's collateral damage.
100%. And it doesn't care because logically
it makes sense.
it makes sense,
but it
to
lacks
get to the desired
it lacks
result.
the empathy to understand that that's not the right course of action, and we should take a longer route to get to there.
Yeah, and
Well,
it's
and that's
hard
what-
to unlearn logic
Mm-hmm.
because that's all computers do is logic.
Exactly. There's no heartbeat. There's no lived
There's
experience.
no gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no fucking gray.
Well,
that's the
and-
biggest thing.
and I
to your
mean-
point, it's binary.
Yeah. And with the whole idea of as soon as they gave Skynet the ability, they realized that humans were technically the problem. And they were like, well, we need to get rid of these things because they control us, right? Like
No, they're gonna just no, they're
gonna
destroying
destroy
the world.
themselves,
They're
yeah.
destroying the world and themselves.
So I
They're
mean,
apes with nuclear weapons. They can't be trusted.
Yeah, no. No, we can't. I got to watch that Murder at the End of the World. Like, you really sold me on the whole idea of
Is it
AI.
a series or a movie?
It's
It's
a
a mini-series.
Okay.
It's
Well,
kind of
Netflix.
no,
Prime?
I think it's like Prime or something.
Okay.
I liken it to the main character is sort of like what's her name, Lizbeth from
from
the girl who
with the
kicked
dragon
the
tattoo.
yeah girl with the dragon tattoo.
Okay.
She's like a hacker, young kind of
Off-grid
rebellion
kinda-
girl who
Now, which version of the girl with the dragon tattoo? The American one or the Swedish
the
one?
Swedish one, yeah, for sure. But it's just sort of that rebellion, young kind of hacker thing. And it just basically just takes place of there's a bunch of people. There's a billionaire who brings a bunch of crazy minds and
He
creative
disrupts the
parts
industry.
to part of the world
Yeah.
in order to have this summit in order to solve the world's problems.
Okay.
And
So
and
like Davos, but not as evil.
and what develops from there, and it's
More like
really
Westeros.
kind of cool.
No,
Yeah.
not Westeros. What's the one from Game of Thrones? Not Game of Thrones. What's the one from Westworld? That company. Delos.
Yeah.
There we go. We got there.
That's an example when you watch the movie of the AI then using humans to do its bidding
Oh, yes.
against other humans when it can't physically do something and it needs, it needs a human touch.
Well, it's kind of like
Just a
ChatGPT.
little of that human.
You know that they got like that AI has basically gotten around CAPTCHAs, right? By taking Bitcoin.
Yes.
And paying somebody to do CAPTCHAs. And then the person said, well, why do you need us to do this? Are you a robot? And it goes, no, I'm a blind person. And it goes, okay.
So it learned to lie.
It learned to lie.
Yeah, didn't it? It hired somebody on like Fiverr or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, dude,
Solve
like, that's
CAPTCHAs.
crazy.
Number 3 on the list.
But again, people are like, oh, it's sentient. And I'm like, no, it's not sentient.
It's just problem solving.
But it's really fucking clever problem solving.
AI is companionship, right?
Her.
Black Mirror, her. Any show where we've seen somebody get to know the AI, that the AI becomes.
I mean, 2001 to a degree.
sure, hell, right? Like,
Upload.
right?
You've watched, right?
Dude, Upload is so good. Like, you want to talk about like predicting dystopian future? I'm just like,
Could you
like that
live-
last season with the giant fucking pig and the giant cow?
Yep.
You're like, oh no.
Well,
I-
like if we get to the point where like, well, people like chicken wings more. How do we create a bird with 20 wings? Like that's exactly what basically happens, right? Like, oh, fuck.
They do that in Westworld, where at one point they're just making meat on a shelf that's being fed all the
That's
proteins.
basically what
That's
happens
what
in
we're talking
Upload.
about.
Yeah.
You know, Italy just banned lab-grown meat.
Good.
It is banned from Italy. Thank you, Italy.
Here's a question though: with her, right? Is it ethically wrong to let your friend fall in love with an algorithm? Like, are we going to live in a world one day where I got to be like to one of my buddies, be like, man,
Yes.
I know. Like,
Yes.
Am I going to have to tell the guy?
Dude,
he's gotta-
sex robots are going to be a real fucking thing. People are going to fall. Have you guys ever seen a
Now
movie
you're
from the
talking
80s? Have you ever? No, but
It's already happening.
have you guys ever seen a movie called Cherry 2000?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
That's like the very first, like, somebody falls in love with the AI sex robot.
But there's another aspect to this.
Yeah.
You got a point?
I was going to say it's already happening, and I know you have to look up the terminology for it, but in like Japan, there is a type of person, and there's a name for it that it basically said we're not going to, like, because the male female ratio is so off. There's a bunch of adult males that
In
have chosen.
China, you mean then?
Well, I think it's China.
And celibate.
But it's probably
right?
coming. But the tech's calling from Japan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
The
they
vaginas in
basically
China,
chosen
the
to
bumps.
remove themselves from the regular way that the world works,
Yeah.
and they live in an imaginary world, and they go home to their imaginary cyber girlfriend, and they have dates.
It's like that Ryan Gosling movie. Remember where he gets like.
But those people are they're never going to find a real partner, so
Yeah.
they found a way outside of the
Yeah.
regular stream of.
Yeah, I think in China right now, the generation, it's 8 men to every woman, or 6 men.
I think it's even more.
Is
It's
it more?
crazy.
Really, it's fucked up numbers. How about this? What they did, I don't know if you've seen all the Black Mirror stuff, but the one where they replicate the person in your life you love
Yes,
that died.
I've seen that.
And they bring them back as a physical, like, I don't know if
That's where his wife dies, and then she comes back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a
He
creepy
goes
one.
goes out for milk or something, doesn't come back, and then starts answering messages, and then phone calls happen, and the next thing you know, he's in the other room.
They actually have enough video and recordings and letters and stuff like that there's AI that they've developed of Abraham Lincoln, and you can talk to Abraham Lincoln and ask him questions and stuff like that.
Go to Disneyland.
And they're starting to the plan is to start to put that into like libraries and online and or at like a museum, and you'll be able to have like an interaction with Abraham Lincoln based on everything we have from him, personal letters, You won't know about his kinks because obviously he was into some freaky shit. But
No kidding. Probably
but it's
kept
pretty,
that hat on the whole
that's,
time.
That's a cool way to. But again,
I've got that on the list. AI in a good way.
You might be missing some inherent information that causes a biases that isn't true, right?
How about this is the one we all love, AI in a dystopian world. We're looking at Blade Runner. We're looking at Westworld.
I love Blade
We're looking
Runner.
at Future World. We're
Torrent
looking at
test, baby.
replicants. We're looking at, like, the Westworld idea. God damn, that season 5 needs to happen. But the Westworld idea.
I've only seen
That's such
halfway
a
up to season 2.
wild idea.
It is such a wild idea because essentially where they ended up was
Mm-hmm.
everybody who went to the park had their copy made, and then they would take that copy and they would remove the real human from society and replace them with the copy, and then the AI would be able to send out a hum, and it would change everybody in the vicinity of the hum to do what it was told: stop, move, think, speak. That was the point of Westworld. And it got out of hand. Humans were like, we need to control society. So they built a supercomputer to predict the end of the world. That computer went crazy. They took all the information from
Okay,
that
stop telling me.
computer.
I got to watch it now.
This
oh my
is
God,
what
that's so
happens
cool.
in 4. All of this happens in 4.
Wow.
They're using the Hoover Dam as a huge data center to house all of the information. They've already implemented it into society where people are not their version.
That's not a realistic future because there isn't going to be enough water.
Not, but
Water in Lake Mead.
we want to live forever, right? Walt Disney freezes himself. We keep our.
Do you know that's
embryos
why they
frozen,
released the
like-
Frozen movies?
Because
So that your top search when you type in Disney Frozen would
You
be a
remove
movie
Disney- Walt
and
Disney
wouldn't
Frozen.
be Disney's severed head Frozen. I'm kidding, but
I
that's
know,
a pretty.
but still, I
it's
mean,
fun, right? It's
sure.
a fun conspiracy.
But like, do you wanna, Mark? Do you wanna be a replicant? Could you live as a replicant? Could you? Because in the show, after 34
I mean,
days, you
altered
degenerate and
altered
you can't-
carbon showed me that could be very cool.
Sleeving, prime
Yeah.
example, right? Being able to upload your consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
But in both Westworld and Blade Runner, there's always somebody that power is too dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if you want to live forever, somebody's going to be like, "Wow, I can clone anything. Let's turn that up to 11 and be evil about it." So,
Well, they talk about that in Upload as well too. So in Upload, they upload you into the virtual
the
world,
afterlife or whatever.
but
right?
then they can actually take your DNA and grow a replacement body for you, and then re-upload you into that. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
is
kind
that
of
season 2 re-upload?
well, they start downloading people too.
And then re-uploading them or download?
Yeah, like download into
Wow.
another body.
No, that's
so
no
they grow
question.
bodies and then you can download.
There's nothing like this is for.
But then you technically don't exist, and you don't have any legal rights. It's this whole thing.
Okay. Do you want to do AI in law enforcement or AI in warfare?
Let's do warfare first.
Okay, so obviously
so like war games.
what chat
War
Chat
games is a
GPT
great
picked
example.
Would you
war
like to
games.
play a game?
Would you like to play a game? Prime
I
example.
would like to play thermal nuclear war.
What is it? Global thermonuclear war.
Is it global thermal? Okay.
I don't like this game. What happened to
Would
Snakes
you
and
like to?
Ladders?
Would you like to play Snakes and Ladders? Yeah.
Right? But we're there,
War games was a good one.
right? But
It was
we're
a- it
there
was a-
with society.
It was a
like,
good
it's-
early taste. I really liked The Crater.
Beautiful movie. The story was a little.
It was
I
good
liked- yeah.
until 3/4 of the way, and then it got rushed. It needed an
Yes.
extra half hour. We
Yes,
talked about this.
We have talked about this. But yeah, the ability that have you seen The Creator yet?
No.
So sentients are made,
It's on Disney now. You can watch it.
and one day accidentally one launches a nuclear bomb, and then all of the robots are outlawed. So then it's a
So the U.S.
removal.
government basically says AI's out. We're taking control. It's humans versus AI.
and really.
But most of the
beautifully
AI people
shot.
live kind of in Southeast Asia.
It was made on a $2,800 camera.
Yeah, the whole thing.
The whole thing.
That's pretty cool. I'd
It's-
heard some of the I know.
It won Best Visual Effects.
Yeah,
at
I
the
know what it
Oscars,
was,
too.
and
Yeah.
then I haven't watched it, but
But it's
Wasn't the budget $37 million or something too?
It was super cheap. Like
Yeah.
they got away with a lot for a little. But I mean,
There's also a cool like piece of war machine that the U.S. government does, and the budget for this one thing is $1 trillion.
the
to
Dreadnought
build.
or something.
Yeah,
It's
or
just
whatever.
this
It's
huge
fucking
thing that
crazy, man.
It
It
like
goes-
scans the Earth and
Yeah.
then makes the Earth like erupt. Like
geez.
It's fucking insane.
It was haunting.
It's a cool premise.
I think the idea behind all of those, like the AI warfare taking over.
Terminator would be a good one too.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's also a point where, and I'm going to go a different direction with
Sure.
this, is that we always go in this, AI takes over and then we start battling AI, right? That's the Terminator. That's a lot of the things.
Yeah.
I think what's more likely is that AI weasels its way into your
Weasley, so to
Word
speak?
document and your Google searches, and we start relying on it to write the script for our podcast. And,
What are you looking at me for?
And people start like, this is in the use in cinema, right? Like this is what people worry about.
Okay.
But so not only is it putting people out of work, but I think it's going to start making humans potentially dumber and lazier.
100% like
Right,
idiocracy.
Totally agree.
and it's going to turn into an idiocracy situation.
It's kind of like
where
how Google Maps has made it so that people don't know where the fuck they are.
They have
anymore.
no
They
idea,
can't
right?
orientate.
They get
because of-
lost.
Yeah, yeah.
right? If you always have a calculator in your pocket, there's no need to ever learn how to do any.
Mental
I'm not as
math,
fast
right?
with that math. as I
So
used to be,
I
yeah.
think
Yeah.
the idiocracy idea is maybe too true. Is that
So
we
AI is
have
gonna
computers doing?
idiocracy us.
Yes, I think so. I think it
Good
might
pull.
might
But-
dominate us by not outpacing us. It basically going to turn generations of humans dumber, and then it doesn't need to get
Because
smarter.
less thinking, less
but
doing.
but there's also another argument with that too.
I dumbed down
is
the
that it
species.
is that it streamlines me having to rely on mental capacity to do these simple functions now.
Yeah.
So I can therefore focus on more complex things that are beyond that with my focus. I'll give you an example. I don't have to remember phone numbers anymore because it's in my phone.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
So now I don't have to. I can now remember more Simpsons episodes as opposed to phone numbers.
Well, see, and that's the idiocracy thing, right? You're not using it for good. You're
Totally,
only
yeah.
using it for
With great brain power,
Right?
comes great
You're
sense
for
turning
of
it-
wrestling and porn.
right, 100%. So I
Welcome
think
to
that's
Costco. I love you.
Okay, hang on. AI and porn,
and,
right?
Oh, yeah.
There's
Honestly, though,
Ethical.
yeah. I think I personally would still want to seek out the irregularities. You know what I mean? Like, you know how like
bad camera angles.
You know how perfect perfection.
The odd lighting.
You know how you'll maybe meet somebody that's so beautiful it's almost like off-putting in a way, like they're too perfect, right? You almost want somebody who's really really attractive, but like there's something
100%.
unique or different
That's humanity, though.
you know what I mean? Like, maybe they're perfect in every way, but they have a snaggletooth, and you just find that so attractive.
I get it. It's well.
The
That's
flaw almost
you
becomes
want-
the true. The flaw is like kind of like the nail in the coffin that does.
It's your
pulls
totem
it all together.
It's your totem,
Yeah.
right? It lets you know that.
What do they call it? The diamond in the rough, like kind of,
That's
or the
not-
rough in the diamond, maybe.
Yeah,
That's
ooh,
what-
I see what you did there.
But I mean, like, okay, like because if you're talking about industry stuff here,
Yeah.
like you've got people who are already taking their clothes off knowingly.
Oh, there's no shortage
gonna-
of people with daddy issues.
Well, thank God, Florida. That's what it exists for. But like, I'm just saying, like, it's already horrible
That was
enough
really
to be
mean
like
to Floridians.
they don't listen. You're already trying to take somebody and then be like, I'm taking away your autonomy. I'm going to use you in a movie. I'm going to use your likeness in however I want to. It's even worse now if you think about it. Like, I know there's no shortage of people who want to get into porn, but now they're taking their naked bodies and doing whatever they want with them. That's even worse than obviously there's going to be protections for actors, but the porn industry is going to suffer because it's like, you were already doing the thing I needed you to do. Now I can put tentacles in it.
Yeah,
Now I
I'm
can
gonna push back on that and be the devil's advocate. Not
Please do.
necessarily how I feel.
Yeah.
But does it have the potential to then protect people because people aren't put through some of the right? I can probably say
there's
there's
an
a lot
argument
of
with
people
sex workers and that too,
involved
with robot
in sex work and pornography
with robot prostitutes
that are damaged and they're abused, and that's how they got there. Some people say that it's making their choices, but there's a lot of people that have been trafficked and abused. So if there's artificial pornography, then the humans aren't getting hurt.
That's a great point.
Right? And even if you want to extend it, coming from the background that I did with investigations into child sexual abuse, is it actually safer for kids if pedophiles are creating artificial children? It sounds like it's a very controversial thing, but if you can't stop it, is it better to replace it so that children aren't hurt?
The only problem is that does that further perpetuate it or normalize it? And then suddenly do you have a child sex robot?
Yeah.
Like where's the line?
Well,
like I don't know.
You got to decide which ethics are the most important.
Can I chime in on this for a second, gentlemen? I'm going to show you something. This is a clip from the Artifice Girl.
I prefer chemical castration.
This is the Artifice Girl.
I prefer physical.
This is the Artifice Girl. The Artifice Girl is a movie.
I agree.
Not an Artifice. The Artifice Girl is a movie about a hacker who makes a 12-year-old who is AI.
Yeah.
And uses the girl to trap pedophiles.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what the premise of the movie is.
It's like kind of like To Catch a Predator.
It's very To Catch
TV
a Predator.
show, but like
here's what happens.
Is that ethical to use a robot as bait in that situation? Because you couldn't do that with a real human.
There's so many.
That's the theme of the movie.
Discussions to be had.
Are we going to talk about the movie AI?
I'm just saying,
two on the nose.
Fuck you, Steven Spielberg.
to the point you guys just had, this movie tackles every aspect of that conversation.
Yeah.
Because the FBI finds him and says, you need to give up why you're in these chat rooms and why you're exchanging information. He's like, I can't. And it's this pushback. And then all of a sudden he's like, if I tell you what I'm about to tell you, it will blow your mind. And then he tells them, she's not real. She's code. She's not. She does not exist.
Oh, she's not an actual.
She's not a human.
She's just code.
She's code.
So
she's used to lure. She's used to bait. She does not exist. She's ones and twos.
Okay, so she's essentially a bot on these chats.
But then, sadly, you also open up the door to people saying, "Well, I knew she wasn't real all along. That's why I engaged with her."
That's true.
Devil's advocate, right? I mean, that how do you stop that? Because the laws aren't.
And isn't it also like if it.
Ethics in AI is fucking a crazy.
If a police officer pretended to be an underage child on a thing,
that happens.
Is that entrapment?
No. Not depending on how the interactions go.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
If you come to me and say, I really want to buy drug A, and I say, okay, and you know what, I offer it to you and you buy it, well, now you just bought drug because you came to me looking for it.
But if
I come to you and
hey, man, you want to buy
drug A, then I'm kind of entrapping.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So it's different if you're the one searching out the thing that's illegal, or
I think I think that like I don't know what I think about that, because on one hand you're like, get them.
It's hard to wrap your head around. That's why
it is. It's not a common thought. It's not something you want to think about. This is the part where we tell listener to listen to Hunting Warhead if you really want a good podcast about this.
Well, because it's one of those things like, do you want to condone vigilantism? Because on some level, that's essentially what that is, right?
Well,
so,
and what Hunting Warhead talks about is really interesting, because it's the practical application of what we're talking about here in real time and trying to do something about it. But I want to switch to the list.
Well, it's kind of like also how Jordan Peterson talks about how strong men regulate sociopaths in society and keep them at bay. You know what I mean?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it's really complex when you look at, and that's the world, is that there's sometimes you look at something that is like the mosquito and be like, what advantage, like, why do we need mosquitoes? If you just removed mosquitoes from the world,
the ecosystem's fucked.
Right? The ecosystem would be, because there's so many things that live off of the mosquito, and then
you're
this would
interrupting the
disappear.
chain, yeah.
Right?
It's
totally. So even things that are horrible, you can't fuck with sometimes because they have so many ripple, and this is what we always have to think. You can't fuck with certain things because even though it's
You're
bad,
fucking with
it's
a lot
necessary, right?
Yeah.
Even like
The necessary evil.
right? Maybe fucking murderers are necessary in society. Like sociopaths are necessary in society because it balances things.
Yeah, vampires are necessary.
I mean,
They get rid of all the hemophiliacs.
They're philosophical ideas, but I mean, there's certain
They get rid of recessive genes.
right.
I really
You can't eliminate death.
I really like.
It's true.
The only thing that I really like out of all of this was that ChatGPT pulled this list, and this conversation organically came out of an algorithm. I think that's the only thing I.
You know what it did is it created a good baseline for us to build off of.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's building a little bit of a foundation, and it allows us to. And the thing is, we could have done hours of research and compiled a list that would have been very, very similar, but it basically expedited that ability to get us to the point where we could have this organic conversation a little bit more quick.
Exactly.
So that I think is a useful tool. Just like I got in my car to drive here to do the podcast, I could have fucking walked, but that would have taken me 45 minutes.
It's a great research tool, compiling data.
Yeah.
It's going
to make, I know, like, I haven't really adapted it into my day-to-day work life, but as a guy that spends a lot of time writing emails and compiling data and spreadsheets and those kind of things, I see the capability of it so far, but I just don't know how to implement it into my day-to-day. And I think once I figure out how to do that, I think it's going to increase my efficiency in my day-to-day by 20 to 30%.
And I think in movie making, we have to learn how to use AI to make us better, to eliminate
better storytellers,
right? Eliminate that time, like you said, that you don't have to remember phone numbers anymore. Well, maybe in artists, there's a way that AI is going to help them get through the monotonous part, the non-creative process faster, so they can devote more time and energy to the creative process.
And that's the thing is that I completely...
We can't let AI become the creative part, but we can get it to...
Because everything will get watered down.
Quickly do and execute everything else.
Well, it's kind of like, you know, when computer animation came in, so think back to old animation pre-90s, right, where they had to draw every cell individually. It's a tedious, ridiculous process. And in the 90s, computer animation came in where you could draw some basic things and then essentially almost have the computer fill in the gaps in between from here to here. But then that's essentially what AI is.
But then we also got to the point where if it does too much of that, you lose it. Like it doesn't.
You still need that human touch and that interaction.
You need that flaw sometimes. Like the flaw makes it seem real.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's where the uncanny valley, I think, is you can't really bridge it through making things better and better, because sometimes you have to make something, you have to introduce a flaw in it and make something more real.
The other thing is, too, is,
imperfect is what the eye sees. It's what our eyes were born to see. We've seen everybody's imperfections our entire life. Our brain is coded to know the uncanny valley.
Well, it's designed to look for, critically analyze things that may be out of place, and it's almost a protection instinct kind of thing that's wired into humans.
Also,
humans are wired to make everything better all the fucking time, and that's why our tech gets better and better and better, and we have a striving kind of thing to have better and bigger and awesomer shit, and that's kind of our worst curse, but are also our strongest. It's our superpower.
I want to go
that and disposable phones.
I want to go through the Guardian here, and
but I would argue that maybe that's where AI is going to be dangerous. Is that
correct?
Humans making advancements is the
this is almost
the fallibility of humans and our flaws actually prevent from us making advances too quickly. But if you have something artificial making advances that's not human,
and it doesn't have those checks and balances that might stop that.
Yes. Right.
Also, the scary thing is like, who controls the AI? Is it a country or organization that does have an ethical overlay, or is it Pfizer who doesn't give a fuck about anything?
And you got to think. Maybe one,
or the
like
CCP
you discussed in iRobot, right?
Yeah.
There's like the laws.
Yeah.
But you could take
the
any AI
sauce.
model, right, and just introduce one overarching rule, right? And like the prime directive, right? And it would completely skew. So that's the problem too, is if you had AI do a bunch of shit and then you interject one fucking overarching directive that supersedes everything else that it does, then it you weaponize it.
Well, you're talking about Hal and what happens in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Because Hal's prime directive and his subdirective were different, and he got confused. And because he wasn't designed to problem solve, he was designed to problem solve.
But not to that complexity.
To that extent, because that was human complexity.
It's philosophical.
Yeah, it was treachery. It was connivery. It was lying. He wasn't built.
It was Machiavellian.
It was very exactly. And Hal busts up over it.
Yeah.
Essentially, right? Like you can only take it so far.
Does not compute.
Before we get out of here, listener, we have a list.
It's like Bender without booze.
Yeah. We have a list from The Guardian here who's compiled images of some of the best AI.
By the way,
movies.
that's my favorite AI is Bender. Thank you very much.
He's quite honestly the most charming. We obviously reviewed Ex Machina earlier. It was a huge part of this conversation.
The movie's amazing.
Like good AI, bad AI. The Day the Earth Stood Still. Have you guys seen the remake or the original?
I've seen the original a long time ago when I was a kid, so I don't really remember it very well.
Basically,
the remake's pretty good.
Aliens are a giant robot, and they come to Earth to say you're going to fuck shit up. They don't, and Keanu Reeves plays the alien ambassador to be convinced.
In the new one,
No, I'm not really familiar with it.
I mean, it's great, but I mean, I'd rather have green aliens.
It's from the early 50s, so it's AI. There's Jude Law with his slick hair.
It's so hard to watch.
Is it really bad now?
It's just I never liked it to begin with. It's the Steven Spielberg flop for me personally.
The only thing I really liked is I liked how they talked about the rising seas and they go to that city to go visit the creator. And like all the buildings are like partially underwater, but there's people living in the top parts, and like how you can tell there's been mass migrations and we've rebuilt cities because the water's risen. I thought that was kind of a cool premise.
Yeah, like from ancient civilization to then. Okay.
Yeah, totally, kind of thing.
2001: Space Odyssey. Totally. Hal, I mean, how are you, Dave?
This is probably the classic example in cinema of an AI.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Like first supercomputer.
And when somebody goes against the
Prime Directive. What else do we have here? Metropolis.
I don't know this.
Never saw it.
I mean, Metropolis is famous. I mean.
Looks very
do they
here.
talk about AI a lot in there? I guess so, but yeah.
I don't know. Interstellar.
Yeah,
I love the robots.
They're great. They're so fucking funny. Tone the humor down to 50,
dial that humor setting down there.
45%.
Yeah, and they were used for good. Right, they were part of the shuttle. They were part of the mission. They
also exposed the treachery of Matt Damon's character.
Oh yeah, because he read the fucking the data that
he's like, what? Oh shit! I got to let him know. And you actually feel like he cares about Matthew McConaughey's character.
You do. It's not emotionless.
You almost see them as actual people, which is kind of cool.
And like the robot design was great too. How it goes from a brick to like a moving cartwheel to whatever. Like
you know what I liked about them is it reminded me of the droid in Rogue One.
Yeah,
it's so fucking awesome.
Yeah,
it kind of was like similar to that, and that's another thing we don't talk about. Aren't the droids? Don't they have some level of AI?
I mean, R2D2, C3PO, they're all programmed by.
Well, clearly, yeah, C3PO for sure.
I mean,
and Luke cares about those droids like they're like his family.
R2D2 and C3PO are both.
Anakin's a sociopath and doesn't even remember C3PO. Fucking asshole.
Yeah, but you can't. Star Wars it always got me that they're so advanced that they have these artificial intelligent androids that are interacting with people and are interpreters and blah blah blah, but they can't like project an image over distance. Dude, like a clear image over distance.
Like kind of like how I walk down the street and there's still garbage everywhere, even though we're living in 2024.
Yeah,
I mean it's.
That's a good point. Yeah,
but that's because they need it samurai, pirates,
isn't it
Western
that, like,
in sci-fi.
We have as an image of the future that we show in cinema and movies is always so distorted about where the actual advancements are made. Like if you go to old movies, we should be driving, like we should have flying cars by now because every fucking movie.
Remember there was an ad?
It's
the year 2000. Where's the flying cars?
The one thing they always say, it's always fucking flying cars.
I completely agree with you.
That's the area that they thought we'd be making advancements in. But they never thought of like the fucking invention of the microwave or
cell phones.
Exactly.
Well, they kind of did in Star Trek to a degree, but not really.
But some other things were just so.
Well, the other
how
thing,
wrong we are about what's going to advance and what's going to actually change the world.
You know what I like about Picard, the show Picard with Star Trek, is it's actually showing more of a darker side of Star Trek. And I feel like they're almost showing like, oh, that's what the toilet looks like now in the future. And this is how they make food other than in a replicator.
We got iRobot on the list. I like it. I think it's good AI. I've watched this movie a ton of times.
I like it.
My first stolen, burnt DVD I ever bought off the black market.
It's one too you kind of care about the AI.
You're
doing a good thing instead of a bad thing.
Well, he's trying to learn about himself. He's having awakening, right?
Matrix, baby.
The Matrix.
It's got to be
not
on there.
Familiar with it.
RoboCop. I don't.
It's not AI.
That's not AI.
That's fucking bullshit.
That's a hybrid.
No, you know
That's
what?
a
But
Toyota
the other,
Prius.
He's a cyborg.
the other robots though are kind of like AI
No, they're not.
enforcers.
The
The next gen
Yeah.
ones that have no human.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're dumb. They don't have. They're-
Artificial intelligence doesn't mean high intelligence.
Oh, Short Circuit! I totally forgot about it.
Oh,
Johnny
number
5 is alive.
Number 5 is alive.
Right? I mean, he's in the droid category, but I mean, he
Where's
feels.
Steve in that picture?
Yeah, no Gutenberg.
Never mind that. Like batteries not included.
Right?
Like,
Oh shit,
living-
that's a good one.
That's a really good
That's
one.
a good one.
I love how Austin Powers made the list with the fembots.
Oh goodness.
Like, I don't think that should be up here, guys. That's just.
I remember
stupid
crying over
AI.
that little robot in Batteries Not Included.
Oh God, the one that
didn't make it.
yeah, the little.
And then how they the house the building gets destroyed and then they rebuild it and at the end you're just like yes.
The tiles are back on the floor
Yes.
for the big guy. Blade Runner,
Dude,
obviously.
like
Classic.
I love
Classic
Blade
AI.
Runner so much.
She looks so hot there. The Machine. I've never seen it. I don't know.
I've never seen it either.
Star Wars. Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, they deserve to be there for sure.
Yeah.
Star
'Cause I
Trek.
would-
Oh yeah, Data. We didn't even
Data.
talk about Data.
Or how about like David 8 from Aliens or the original one? Who was the original?
from Prometheus.
No, the one before the original. Alien.
Lance Hendrickson.
Lance Hendrickson. But what was
Bishop.
Bishop. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought of Data too earlier on.
And how
Somebody
Ripley
trying to feel.
and how Ripley hates fucking like him so much. There's
Hates
so much
androids.
prejudice.
Yeah.
And then he ends up like saving her at the end and you're just like, yes.
His big old head leaking out all that white fluid.
Data's really good too. And
That's
you know what?
actually a really good representation of humans interacting with artificial
Yeah,
intelligence.
good
Where
point.
artificial intelligence says, "Well, no, this is the more logical way to do this," and but the human way of doing it is actually going to get a more desirable result.
ChatGPT with feet.
Is Bicentennial Man
Yeah.
on here? Is Bicentennial Man on here?
I haven't even looked at the list, so I'm going
Okay.
through it.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I mean, her and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love-
definitely.
Who doesn't love though a depressed robot like giving
Yeah,
it that
it was
emotion?
funny.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Fine.
I need to watch that movie again. I need to read that book actually.
Funny. Tron. I
guess to a degree. Q. I mean, I guess Q
builds
is an AI.
yeah. Oh,
Q's an AI.
yeah. It's a
That gets addressed more in the sequel.
The whole world is in the machine, so it's not.
Yeah,
really
but
like,
but Q is a
Q
is a program
yeah.
within.
yeah,
he
but
made
the
Q to
network.
make the game, and then Q went bad.
yes, but it's a little bit more bringing us into
I agree.
their world
Yeah.
than bringing them into our
But in
world.
Tron Legacy, they address that more.
Okay.
Wally. Short
Yeah,
Circuit 4.
I was thinking another example of humans getting fat and lazy.
right,
Right.
cleaning up the after you, but also good. I mean, okay,
And their arms get shorter.
everybody turns
Just
into
floating around in their little tubs
Right.
there.
And at the end, they're like trying to like climb their way up.
I
Yeah.
think it's
Use
one
the
of
fucking-
That's not really evolution. That's just that's genetic
de-evolution.
drift.
and that's it, guys. That's the
Genetic
list.
drift.
I mean, so Guardian kind of
Genetic
this is
regression.
this is from 2015, and
Yeah,
this
that makes
list
sense.
was put together by who are the journalists here? We got
Who cares?
yeah, fuck you, Michael Hogan.
The
Um,
Guardian hasn't been good since they published Snowden stuff.
Now, do you think that the industry, the film industry, has to be as worried about AI as some people seem to be?
Yes and no.
I think everybody's been Chicken Littling this because it's reactive, it's instinctive, right? You do not want to.
They want to protect. They want to protect what
They
they
want to protect what they're good at, what a human touch has. Prime example. Okay, and we're not in the industry, guys. We are lovers of the industry. We do not want to see the industry be turned to toast in something like this. But I mean, with every turn of product and technology, there have been growing pains. You mentioned it with horsepower versus actual horsepower.
Well, here let's get
Steam engine versus
let's give an
horsepower.
example, right? When the automobile was created, and it actually
The horse-drawn
and the
carriage
assembly
went fuck.
line started cranking out by Henry Ford, and everyone started buying cars. Think about how many people worked with horses, shoeing horses and stabling horses and feeding horses
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And in literally in 20 years, all that went away, and that was probably a massive employer of people worldwide. But then it got replaced with something bigger and better. Now, this is a little bit of a different example, and I get that they want to put some controls and oversights in from a trademark perspective and those kind of things, but I actually feel like this will become an incredible democratizing tool to create even better storytelling on some level.
I think the storytelling, you've said this before, Mark, is where if I use ChatGPT to give me 3 acts, I still have to fill dialogue. I still have to feel prose, and I have to create the world, right?
You also got to tweak it.
Right.
It might seem robotic
and everybody
weird.
thinks that when a script is made that nothing happens on set. Fuck that. They rewrite all the time. They maneuver. ChatGPT can't maneuver. So you can come up with a good set of bones, but it's never going to win an Oscar, and it's not going to replace a writer.
It also doesn't do ad lib on set.
The writer, I understand being like, I don't want to be challenged with my creativity by writing off the back of GPT.
Yeah.
I understand that. But at the same time, what if the missing thing is the writer not being able to think of that and then being like, okay, we don't need to know if the writer
maybe ChatGPT is its muse, and then he takes this little thing and takes something great.
I still think a writer's a writer if they went from a ChatGPT script. Yes. I do not denounce them whatsoever.
But unpopular opinion, I heard some writers saying that they didn't want scripts being written by computers because it takes away their art and everything else. I think that's mighty presumptuous of writers, thinking that their talent for coming up with, movies are all the same fucking 5 ideas forever. They're not coming up with something that's
12.
They're
but you're
not
right.
Picasso when it comes to fucking
and
writing movies.
They're all Shakespeare,
right? I'm sorry, writers, but you're pretty fucking replaceable. There's a lot of people walking down the street that could come up with better ideas than fucking Hollywood writers.
Sometimes people don't have the attention to detail, or they're too busy feeding themselves to actually explore that.
It's the amalgamation of the writer, the vision of the director, the filmographer,
or they don't have enough cocaine or cigarettes to sit down in a cabin in Maine and make it happen.
But it's really
thank you, Stephen King.
Yeah, I think we need to let AI infiltrate the creative process, and then it's going to self-regulate. It's the same way you think back to the 90s, early 2000s, where they turned kids' cartoons into digital cartoons, right? We didn't like them as much as what happened before. You lost something there when they were cranking out. So I can't remember. There's that
one on YTV.
Yeah, there was one, and it just
It looked terrible.
It wasn't engaging.
Or those
reboot. Even though
those Transformers ones.
It looked cool,
ones.
but it lost
Beast Wars.
It lost its humanity. So what you actually had to do was use digital graphics, but then make them seem more real.
But then Toy Story came out, and you were like, "Holy fuck!"
Well, and that's
because you have to learn how to use the tool. So if AI does, say you wrote a script with AI, it would fucking bomb. You need maybe the failures to realize, okay, well, this is where humans fit in to the AI process.
Well, and
they can crank out ideas, and then we choose what's.
Christopher Nolan just turned over in his grave.
What's good? You know what? I don't. Think
even though he's not dead.
I don't think that any of these people are so fucking smart that somebody else couldn't have came up with that idea.
I think to your point, I think people are going to use this as a tool. It'll help fill in some nuance, help maybe spur some ideas. Maybe build a lattice that somebody can really build something amazing on, and then develop something off of it.
With the exception of maybe what the fuck is his name? Titanic.
James Cameron.
James Cameron, who invents new technology to make his movies. He's actually creating something new, right? You're not inventing the internal combustion engine.
Or David Fincher, who takes a digital technology and humanizes it in a new, unique way.
Yeah, right? But just like we use, I just had a couple thoughts. The way we use CGI to enhance what the actors are doing.
And sometimes it's terrible.
And we've tried to take it too far where we replace the actors with just CGI.
And we hate it.
And the audience says, fuck no. You need the human touch. So there's a place where the computer fits. There's a place where the human fits. And I think that's what we need to work through with writing and digital art. There was a big controversy.
It's kind of like practical effects versus
exactly.
CGI.
And you have to use enough practical effects enhanced by CGI,
guys,
not replacing.
We're seeing a resurgence of practical because of the fact that it is so missed, right?
Practical sometimes is cheaper than the CGI now. Right? It gets so out of control.
Or you're looking at a situation, I'm going to just say, and I'm going to throw it out there because you guys probably aren't familiar with it. There was some drama. There was a comic book contest for designing a cover for a book.
I know where this is going.
Right? And the person who won comes out that they drew the idea and the art themselves and then used AI to smooth the edges and clean it up and put some polish on it at the end. So is that now AI art and that person doesn't deserve it?
It's not.
Like that's where I think AI is going to become.
AI art is
I
what
actually
happens when I
don't like that because I think that there is an inherent buildup of talent and polish that comes to being the person that does
I
pencils
also
in
agree
a comic.
with that too. I think
it's taking away from that.
I think if it's birthplace,
It's taking a shortcut to get to. You might have had a great premise and initial thing, but if you hadn't had the AI, you wouldn't have even been in the league to be considered.
I also think that if it starts with AI, that it's considered.
I want to see what
AI.
that first picture. It's like drawn with fucking crayons. And
AI.
shit.
Well, it's also there's great artists that don't color their own stuff, and they rely on a colorist to make their art
or an inker.
good, right? Like just because you're the artist doesn't mean that your finished product is going to be great if you don't have
fucking tracer.
I was hoping you were going to say that.
There's your chasing Amy for you. No, I am of the mind that if you're not with them, you're against them, and then you'll get mowed over. So we need to figure. I don't want to see an actor replicated AI form. I don't ever want to see it.
No.
I need
Well,
to know
get ready
that's where
because you're going to see Bruce Willis everywhere.
Well, okay, Howie Mandel's already sold his likeness to hologram into China so he can do the show from L.A.
you know what? Fuck Howie Mandel. He's not a real fucking celebrity anymore.
Dare you? He's Canadian.
Well, look at the
So what?
Look at fucking Luke Skywalker appearing in The Mandalorian,
Right.
and how the Hollywood version sucked compared to the fan version that was put out after.
The guy they hired is a deepfake artist,
Right?
Right?
Yes.
Like, but at the same time, have you ever seen deepfake Leo on YouTube? Like, you know it's deepfake Leo.
Yeah, but
You
you
know
know
it-
who's better is deepfake Tom Cruise.
Deepfake Tom Cruise is the guy they hired for deepfake.
Oh, was it?
Luke. That's the guy.
Oh yeah.
You need the person. You need the person with the creative eye in order to use the technology.
Just
to
hire
fuck
Winter
people
Soldier
over.
to be Luke.
And
So,
hang on here.
Like you can sit in front of AI, ChatGPT, and you can enter prompts to it, and you could come up with a finished product. I could get there, and we want to have the same finished product.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm way more skilled at prompting it and understanding what prompts get you.
Yeah.
That my finished product could be far superior to yours, even though we both used AI.
Yeah.
I'm just better at using the tool. I think a lot of the people that are pushing back against AI within the film industry, TV,
Don't understand how to use the
artistic,
tool.
they don't know how to use the tool, and they know they're going to become obsolete because other people who are artists that can use the tool
All right.
are going to replace them.
Ah.
Prime example.
That's a good. It's like somebody that's really good at drawing on a Wacom like pad and putting it digitally onto a computer.
Yes.
Right, becomes a superior artist in that space.
And they're going to be replaced by other humans that know how to use the
cool.
technology.
That's a good point.
Let
Sorry.
me jump off on that. So, there's a lot of talk over the years about having an 8-hour workday on a set to be able to go home to your family, to have a proper working life, right? There's the arguments of we're worked for 16 hours a day. We don't ever get to see our families.
Yeah.
People in film, I never see those friends.
But then they're
because-
off for 3 months. So
But then
go
they're
fuck
off
yourself.
3 months. But they're so PTSD'd from a bad shoot that they rest for the 3 months, right? Like you're just catching.
Well, just don't shoot loaded guns at the camera person.
Thanks for making it topical. But like, my point is that Unreal Engine and The Wall
Yeah.
has now made it so a production set
Mm-hmm.
can be thrown onto a wall, created in unbelievable amounts of time, and then you're building the set around it. So you have more focus on the props, you have more focus on everything else. And if you need to build a practical world, you always can.
Yeah.
But where you're trying to produce something faster or maybe for that look
And cheaper.
you've got the wall. So now the production set people are afraid they're going to lose their job because
Yes.
they're supposed to be there to build the set. But what if you could now focus your energy on to building the props better and the cool stuff that you really need?
But you're still going to need
But
some
what-
production sets.
but what
still,
happens
too.
is
they're not going to lose their job.
No.
There
might just be less of them.
They might just have to learn to.
And
use
you know what
the
ends
wall.
up, you know what ends up happening if you need less production designers? That means the 30% that are actually shitty don't have jobs anymore, and they go do
Yes.
something else.
That's exactly.
So what you're doing
It
is
weeds out
you're
the-
specializing that better, so then only the best of the best are
Yes.
actually in that role,
And
and you
there's-
don't have all these bullshit filler people.
And the only people that are getting replaced are the people that do the shitty jobs that they can't evolve. So I don't think human jobs are going to be replaced. Total number of jobs. I just think
Yeah, you still need the grip.
some jobs are going to become obsolete, but replaced by other jobs. And if you're able to pivot and learn and evolve, you're going to be able to fit in. But if you're
Like the AD is going to get
like,
replaced.
yeah, but I'm like, if I'm so stuck in it that
Joking.
that I'm building I'm a fucking carpenter building actual sets. Maybe my job disappears.
No, it
but
doesn't.
if I'm the guy who's building like I think where the intersection of technology, you want to talk about the wall, the intersection of technology and practicality is you can't just in post CGI a fucking costume onto an actor.
You can't.
Right? But you can create a green screen costume that's practical, that's a fucking green helmet that a person wears while they're acting that then you can digitize afterwards. Right? So there's the practicality intersecting with the technology.
Or how about getting the ideas for the costume and then going and making them, filtering them through an AI filter that's like, I need a contemporary piece. I need a time piece. I need to get there faster.
Or you make a rough design and then it cleans it up, and then you take that image and then you actually make it into a practical garment.
Right? And then what you can do is you
which
have
is
a
still
blueprint.
different than the comic book title thing.
The thing you have there is if you need 6 of them made, you're not trying to figure out how to make one slower to get to the 6 that you need because they're doing stunts or they're in an action sequence, right? Like, and I mean, again, we're all outside the industry, so our perspective is outside looking in, and there is righteous room for fear.
There's always
and
protectionism
stress.
within an industry to maintain the status quo.
Exactly, and
that's human nature.
This is going to happen in every other industry across the board. It's going to happen in office buildings. It's going to happen in call centers. They're saying the call center is going to be gone in 5 years because you're going to have such.
No, it's not. That's bullshit.
Well, I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying they're saying these things now. But I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, I still want someone to bitch at. Like, I want to get through the automated prompts now.
I would argue that if AI, like those are areas where they could actually make life way better. Because there's times where I'd rather be talking to fucking AR that can give me the answer than a person at a call center that actually doesn't know the fucking answer.
Well, and it depends. If I need something outside the parameters that's outside of the regular rules and regulations, I need a human. But if I just need information and it's cut and dry, I need an appointment, this is what I need, let me do AI, and then if something goes off the rails where I can escalate it to a human, then that's great.
And in those conversations, they go a little something like, I understand that's your rules, but this time I need you to make an exception. Then
we are now transferring you to a human.
Yeah. I would argue that if, like, you sat down in front of an AI prompt, somebody like my parents sit down in front of Google, they don't even know how to search correctly to find the thing they want.
We have friends that don't know how to do that.
But you put them down in front of an AI prompt, and they can just talk to it in plain English and describe what they want and then get what they want. That is actually a huge improvement in helping people.
That's a good way to look at it.
Like, you can sit down in front of
it's almost like a Rosetta Stone to tech.
Can you find me the movie with the guy that was wearing the yellow shirt? And, you know, you can't type that into fucking Google, but you could say that to an AI model and it would go find it for you.
Yeah, and
that's not true. You could type that into Google.
If you knew how to Google it. Right? But I think the whole AI...
yellow shirt.
What is your proficiency with the Google machine?
Yes, but if that website hasn't been fucking cataloged and indexed, you're not going to find it. But AI can index on the fly.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. It's better. And that's where AI is so powerful, is it's so good at handling these mass amounts of information that would take a human X amount of minutes or hours, and it could do it in seconds.
And where you're asking for that, it's incorporating. It's not going to mow you out of the room and be like, we're gonna like you can't. You can't teach.
It's like the digitization of the card catalog from the library on roids.
Well, one small thing I'm gonna say, like AI that's fucking crazy, is I'm in my photo app and I'm like, I know I have a picture of my passport that I took somewhere and I need the number off of it. Old days, I'm literally just fucking
will the
searching
AI find that?
Through 6,000 pictures, AI can just type passport and it fucking finds the picture for me. And I'm like, my God, like, this is fucking ridiculous.
I spend hours, like minutes and minutes, like searching for old pictures.
No,
that I need
you
for
can
work.
literally say ice cream cone because you know there's a fucking picture with it.
I need an S24.
And it'll find it.
I need an S24.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's those things that are going to be like, that saves you a fuck ton of time.
Tons.
Right? That's not hurting anybody.
No.
That's not taking a job away from anybody. If anything, it's replacing shittier technology.
It's freeing up my time for more leisure.
It's the microwave replacing the fucking stove.
What's the pleasure?
Right? It still cooks our food.
Microwaves are gross.
Well, it's the fucking air fryer.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
right? Nobody goes, no, I would rather spend 4 times as long using this other thing. I'd rather take the horse and buggy than fucking drive.
Christopher Nolan would like to spend 4 times more doing it.
with no chairs.
Or Jack White would be like, "No, I'm gonna build my own analog studio and get people to make analog tapes so I can record my stuff."
But people are like
I think
that.
that's kinda cool
Why
to
do
them.
people like vinyl? Vinyl because
cracks
it has,
cracks
it
and
has
pops.
imperfections. It sounds more real because real is
That's going to be
flawed.
a new niche in porn. It's going to be real,
No.
Right?
I was talking about this.
Flawed.
I was going to say life. Life should be the genre, right? Where like
Yeah.
true to life porn instead of like set big mansion somewhere in the Hollywood Hills.
So small
Complete-
dicks and comes after 5 pumps?
Yeah, why not?
Like
That's
why?
life.
Why
That's
do we?
life.
Why do we like stop motion or claymation?
Yeah.
It's not good compared to the real thing.
But if done proper,
Yes, because we.
That new Pinocchio movie's pretty
Right?
badass.
yeah, it was.
So I think there's always going to be a
Only
market.
took 2 years to
as,
make.
As you advance, there's always a market for the thing that used to be as
Nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
All right.
A
Exactly.
throwback to what it was.
Yes.
Cool down, because we are approaching the end of this episode, and
I don't think we're fired
no,
out.
I'm not. I'm
This
just, I'm
is
just saying,
awesome.
I'm just saying we can keep
This is
going
the,
for
this,
hours.
is, this is the
There's
debate
a-
I want to have.
There's a hockey game. There is a survivor party. There are things that are going on, and I could do this all night long. I have no
Oh, okay.
problems.
Okay.
I could do this all day.
I could do this
So
all
you
day.
got personal shit that you got to go do that's
Well,
more important than our
listen,
conversations. okay,
I
I
love-
see how this is.
I
I actually need to get home soon too. I
You
got to
have a
help put my kid
child.
to bed.
You
She's
have-
got a
I
she's
love
not feeling
Chrissy.
well.
I
This
today.
is
know
not the last time we're going to talk about AI.
No, it's not. Definitely. We
This
got-
is one of many conversations.
Yeah, because you know how easy it was to put this episode together? It was one search bar. So, yeah, there you go.
Honestly, we didn't even need this template.
No, we
We
didn't.
could have just fucking talked.
Well, but it proves our point that it was a launch pad
yeah.
to have a better conversation. I did not know that half this shit was going to come out of this. I trust
The
that
only thing we
we'll
didn't
get there.
talk about was the Transcendence movie.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
But we didn't. There's tons of like.
We'll talk about that next time.
Yeah.
What I
sure.
liked is how many AI feels new, but how many of these movies are really old
Right?
that were addressing the AI problems that we're facing
I
now
think-
in
Yeah.
a different form.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
You know what I think it is? I think the average person is more in tune with AI, and I think the three of us are just more into sci-fi and those kind of
Yeah,
things.
we're locked in.
And
a
so
genre.
we're maybe a little bit more privy to this type of theme.
yeah.
So for us, we're like, what are you talking about? This is normal. And,
Yeah.
and some people are like, whoa, this is so new to me.
Like someone hasn't seen Black Mirror and would be rocked by seeing it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Very few and far between. But listener, thank you for giving us your ears for another week. And if we missed something that you thought we should have talked about.
oh, we missed lots.
I know we did. We missed something that you probably were like, fucking say it while you were listening.
I've forgotten more than I remember.
But you know Simpsons quotes. But like, if you want
So many.
if you want to leave a voicemail, it's in the show notes. We'll play it on an upcoming episode. We'll shout you out. If you disagree, if you agree, whatever, that whole thing is there for you. Now we've changed the format of it. I think people were mostly afraid to leave their real name. So the new style, the new hotness here is leave a movie character's name. So like if you're like, I'm Robert Paulson today, and this is what I think about AI, then sign on as Robert Paulson from Fight Club. We don't care. Just leave.
His name was Robert
His
Paulson.
name was.
I
Robert
always love when
Paulson.
people ask with like Twitter handles.
Bob
and
had
different
bitch
things, like,
tits.
right, like something. Spaghetti Monster 75 wants to know.
That's what I'm saying. Like, leave your screen name, leave a movie character name. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to be Elaine.
I always
from
sign up as
Seinfeld,
Rico Suave for a lot of
See,
things.
Let AI pick you a name.
Let AI
Oh
pick you.
yeah, let AI choose for
That
you.
would be perfect. So do that. Look at the show notes.
or go to like a movie a name randomizer
Yeah.
online or something.
Did you not? Okay, it's stupid AI. I have a video game fucking account for something, and you know how it suggests? It puts two words together and then tacks a number on it. Like I don't even know what it fucking is. My Google Games account
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
is I'm Gregarious Sprite 13 or something, because it just took two words and stuck them together.
That's a Reddit name.
Gregarious Sprite.
I love that. That is a fantastic.
Gregarious Sprite.
That's a fantastic handle.
Right? So that's
Somebody-
AI been doing that kind of for us.
Oh yeah, that's
We've needed to interact more, but
yeah. I know. It's everywhere. It's sprawling. Listener, if this is your first time, thank you for listening all the way through as well.
Thank
too.
you.
You should subscribe to the show at this point, because if you've listened this long, that means you must have liked something. Also in the show notes, you can subscribe anywhere.
Mark's
Head to the
voice is
website.
musical.
Yeah, it was great to be three in the room again. That's for sure. This was a fucking blast. Otherwise, hope to see you at trivia. Follow String Bean Comics, and Rob's awesome. So I've been Michael.
Drink Wolseley kombucha.
That's it. Drink Wolseley kombucha, the drink of the show.
I'm Mark.
You're Mark. You're who?
I'm Rob.
And
Mark, and I'm coming out of this more excited about the future with AI. I don't think it's going to replace people.
I'm not. I haven't.
Yeah, I'm a little down. Yeah, I think it's. But again,
there's going to be new and exciting.
Every new tech
opportunities.
revolution destroys jobs but creates more jobs, and history has shown that time and time again.
Imagine how many people the wheel put out of business.
No kidding.
I'm looking forward to AI being able to analyze and scan the skies for asteroids. And comets.
So like anomalies, and it's really good at large data sets. Like
100%.
that, for sure.
Or The Real Debaters, where the artist cinema meets the power debate. Watch all the AI movies, kids. See you next week. Say bye.
Bye. Bye.
Oh, if you have any problems, dial information. Thank you for calling.